I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be alright, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
We just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Welcome everybody to the Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. As your friend Mr. BEA, flying solo for the moment. More people will be joining as we come along. I will be opening up the phone lines in a bit, but shout out to everybody out there. We just had a pretty good heavyweight tussle between Joseph Parker and Derek Chisora. I already see some people are displeased with the decision. We're gonna get to the bottom of these people. Before we do that, fellas, don't forget Gonzalo's kid Mateo, newborn son, is still in the hospital. I think he's getting better. I think the pneumonia is going away, I believe, or at least he's been taken off the intubation, so that's always good. And shout out to everybody that donated to his GoFundMe page. He still's got a bit of a long way to go, Gonzalo does, in terms of paying the bills. So if you could, and you can continue to contribute, that will be fantastic. The link is in the description, I believe, to the GoFundMe. Yes, it is. And let me just post it here in the chat again, just so that you guys can see it and don't forget it. There we go. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. I'm talking about Chris Court, Brian, Braden Laferty, Tel J, Jaguar, Wellington Higgins. Who else? Padja, SSB28, Bruce Uli, Wesley M, Teddy Brocky, Calibos, Julius Sivola, one of my favorite names here in the YouTube community, Jay Perez, Jonathan Lambarena, Chris K, Iceman, many more people to come, I am sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Okay, so what do we got here? Brian says Parker is trash. Jaguar says, I was so pumped up, I was going to go to the gym. Now I am deflated. Really, that bad? Braden says Joseph Parker fought like a garbage and fought like a smaller man. Wellington Higgins says Chisora won that. Padgett says when a Brit loses a competitive fight, there is no it could have gone the other way. Or either way, surprisingly, he says. SSB28 says robbery. Bruce U. Lee says robbery. Wesley says, why is there always a bad card? Teddy Brocky says, I want Kevin from Israel. No, Kevin from Israel. He's coming from Chicago, man. Come on, man. Padgett says, Parker keeps showing in lousier shape fight after fight. All right, well, let's take a look at this scorecards here. Again, split decision for Joseph Parker. I thought he looked a little bit better than he did in the junior fight, and he said so himself. He said that the style was going to help him here because Chisora is more of a brawler, and so that was going to be to his advantage. So this was in the Manchester Arena, blah, blah, blah. The scores were 115-113 for Chisora. So that means that it would have been 115, 112. Yeah, what do you mean? Wait, 115, 113. So with the knockdown, if you wouldn't have scored a knockdown, that would have been what, 114, 113? Anyway, two other judges had a 116, 111 and 115, 113 for Parker. Now, some of you fellas are saying that it was a robbery and that you felt Chisora should have won. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that just like the zone commentators, you were none too pleased with the 116, 111 card. All right, I want to get your opinions on this, fellas. I'm going to be opening up the phone lines here, but I want to get your opinion first on this fight because, again, Joseph Parker said that he was going to look good against Chisora because Chisora was going to come to him. Despite all that, he still did a lot of holding. A lot of holding. So I'm thinking here, okay, the Junior Fa fight, he blamed his opponent for all the holding. Meanwhile, in this one, he was doing his fair share. So what the heck happened? What the heck happened? What's up, BDA, says Viking Burrell. What's up, right back to you, man. Cloudy with a chance of boxing says, I am pissed. Jordan Clampini says, Luis had a similar fate versus Parker. Brian says, Derek always can't get the split decision. Jaguar says, Chisora easily won the first 5 rounds and got a knockdown in round 1. At least a draw, he says. All right. Jordan Clampini says, Parker has some rich investor. Jonathan Lambarena says Garcia was in a 1-8. Yeah, he said that Ryan Garcia was in a 1-800 commercial. But that doesn't mean he shot it yesterday, man. Come on now. But we did talk a little bit about that last night, and most of us were skeptical about his mental anxiety story or whatever it might be. We can talk about it a little bit more if you want later on. Jaguar says a lot of beautiful body punches from Chisora. That's a very good point. He scored his fair share of body shots in there. Now, you know that for a fact that a lot of these guys, they don't, these judges, they don't necessarily count those body shots all that much. They tend to like to stick to the headshots. But I thought Chisora, listen, here's the other thing. Chisora was working that body since the beginning. And I was thinking, man, that's pretty good work he's doing right there. Might pay dividends in the long run. But it never quite did. I mean, we can only assume how much fresher Parker would have been had those body shots not factored into the equation. But Chisora nevertheless was landing them. Now, you can make an argument about how effective they were. Because again, Parker looked pretty fresh down the stretch. Chisora was huffing and puffing, just like he did in the Usyk fight by the middle round. So, you know, it's kind of hard to tell, fellas. I gotta tell you, I'm usually in line with a lot of what you say, but in this one, I don't see it as a robbery. Maybe I'd have to rewatch it again. But robbery, it's a strong word, fellas. It's a strong word. And you know how I feel about strong words. Words have power, words have meaning, and they can be hurtful. I couldn't say that with a straight face. No, but listen, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this. So I'm going to be opening up the phone lines here real quick. People are saying, Kenshiro says Katie Taylor is a better boxer than Shields. I didn't watch the women's fight. I had to set up the stuff for this one. So when the women's fight came along, I said, yep, it's a good as chance as any to start setting up. Nothing against women's fight. Well, actually, I do have something against it because I don't find it all that entertaining. But
scheduled to start in 20 seconds.
All right, 20 seconds. Here we go, fellas. The other thing that we can talk about later on, of course, Chris Eubank won a little bit of a tougher fight than expected. I think it was his first fight with Roy Jones in his corner. What else did happen in the undercard? It was Chris Eubank and who else was fighting on the undercard? How am I forgetting this stuff here? Anyway, we'll get to that later on. But yeah, Chris Eubank, he's got a couple of things going on for the future himself. And then, of course, this Saturday we have Luis. I mean, this Saturday, later on tonight, we have Luis versus Arreola. I'm curious to see how many people are actually going to buy that fight. Because I was asking people yesterday, hey, are you going to watch that fight? And a lot of people were saying, shit, no. So, could go either way, I suppose. I know. By the way, who was it? Somebody was out here. 2 people were out here last night, and they were saying that they don't pay for fights, so you can expect that the Arreola Parker fight pay-per-view ain't gonna be doing that.
Now, press 1.
Then it's not gonna be doing that good
you're
numbers.
Calling back into a live show. We are reconnecting you now.
All right, good for you. All right, so I think the phone lines are open, fellas. So if you want to call in, there's the number. And since I'm flying solo for the moment, it's the second day in a row I'm flying solo here I'm pretty sure people are going to start jumping in later on. But I might post a StreamYard link too, depending on how things go. I also wanted to mention, don't forget to check out the Second Renaissance. We're going to be doing a special new thing where we actually watch a little something. Because I'm not all that great at explaining some of the weirder stuff that circulates around the internet. So I decided, you know what? Let's pick a documentary that's not obviously copyrighted, but that's also falls within the Creative Commons platform, which means we can rewatch it, and we'll do that. Because the other time we were talking about a couple of stuff regarding the esoteric, and normally I try not to get into that type of stuff lately because of YouTube clamping down, but they're more averse to dealing with things that are political in nature, whereas things with the occult and all that, hey, look, it's just weird stuff that we find on the internet. So we'll be talking about that in the next Second Renaissance, so go ahead and check it out. What else was I going to say? So yeah, phone lines are open, fellas. If you want to call in, let us know what you thought about the Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora fight. Kenshiro says Eubanks should fight Charlo. Well, essentially that's what they were planning on, right? But now he's over here at the zone, so you got to wonder what's going to happen. Will he actually be able to get a fight with Charlo? Jay Perez says that Eubanks... By the way, Chris Eubank. It's not Eubanks. I was actually calling him Eubanks too right now. Eubank was coming off a win against a 5'69" fighter. Jaguars is the first round knockout Mexican upset. The Irish guy, that was crazy. Fat Apple says, I agree. UK Rob Parker seems to get a lot of decisions go his way in close fights. Huey, Ruiz, Fa, and now Del. Oh, by the way, I forgot this. The other fight that I was talking about from the undercard was Bivol. So we can talk about that guy as well. That fella. None too impressive for a lot of people, but, you can still talk about that. Shout out to Gonzalo who's in the chat. He says, decent Chisora landing clubbing shots in the beginning. In the end, they become slapping shots. Hey, by the way, fellas, some of the regulars, I don't know where you are, but the group, I started the group here. I don't know if it's shut down. So maybe you'd have to let me know if one of you is out there and I can call you and we can restart the whole thing. But let me say something about Chisora and Parker. Parker has some of the quickest hands in boxing, man. He really does have some flashy hands. But he's also pretty inactive in there a little bit. And he likes to pull away and roll with shots with his hands down. I don't know how good a strategy that is against some of the other fellas, because he was getting tagged a little bit with a couple of rights. Or he was making those overhand rights miss by just a little bit. But Joseph Parker is indeed an interesting case. He, like I said, good reflexes, quick hands. I got to ask you, though, who do you think actually performed better against Chisora? Joseph Parker or Alexander Usyk? Because let's not forget, Parker's actually a pretty big guy. Pretty big heavyweight. He's what, 6 feet 4 inches tall? Usyk, this was, when he fought Chisora, that was his first big test in the division. And you could understand why he struggled a bit against a guy as big as Chisora, or as heavy, I should say. Whereas Joseph Parker, he's been in there with other guys. And let me tell you the other thing about Joseph Parker is for a while his conditioning was the part that made you question how good he was. Like against the Khan, for example, he faded down the stretch. Against Luis, not all that active. Against Joshua, not all that active. Although I can understand not being active against a guy that's 6 feet 6 inches tall and can crack like hell. But it seems like that's the story of Joseph Parker's career. Almost, or what if, a little bit like Andy Ruiz. Incidentally, both those guys fought each other, which in retrospect was a pretty interesting fight when you rewatch it, knowing what both guys are capable of. But Parker is an interesting case, man, with those quick hands of his. But again, listen, let's take a look at the rankings here. Ring Magazine's rankings, and you will see that the division is pretty interesting, but nothing that makes you go whoa. All right, let me see. More people are coming in here and saying, Cliff Rich, look at Chisora's back. This guy is strong as a bear, says Jay Perez. Yeah, he's built. He is like a bear. He's like a grizzly bear, this guy. Box says Usyk's win was wider. Okay. Jay Perez says Usyk outboxed Chisora way more convincingly. Fat Apple says Usyk's stock shut up. Chisora just keeps coming. High Roller says Chisora robbed. Brian says, should Derek fight Ruiz next? That wouldn't be a bad fight, man. Although, of course, Luis has to get past Ariola first, which is not a given. Blue Collar Sports TV, aka Delboy. Shout out to Delboy. Says close fight. Could have gone either way. I enjoyed it. See, I'm on the same boat as Delboy. I don't think it was a robbery. W. Riles says it was a robbery. I don't know about that, man. High Roller says either way. AISS. I don't know what that means. AISS. Fat Apple says amazing fight. It was a pretty good fight, let me tell you. And you know what? I'm thinking that the Chisora, the Ariola versus hold on a second. Send link. But I can't send you a link if there's no group, Bucho. What are you talking about? Anyway, let me know here in the group. J-Talk says, what do you think is the next move for Parker? Well, now that's what I was going to get to, man. Thank you for reminding me, J-Talk. Because let's take a look at the heavyweight rankings here. Tyson Fury is recognized as the champion of the division. Anthony Joshua is considered the number one contender. In my eyes, okay, maybe Tyson Fury... First of all, I don't consider him the lineal champ, man. Because if you retire or if you go in a drunken stupor or a long vacation, whatever, involving cocaine and all that stuff, good stuff, you essentially vacate your title. So for me, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua still have to fight in order for us to determine who the real champ is. Him being Deontay Wilder, okay, Wilder, as per the rankings, I understand why Ring Magazine decided to do it this way, but I'm still not convinced about Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. They need to fight each other in order for us to figure out who's who in this division. All right, now people are telling me that they want us to... hold on a second. What was I going to say? So yeah, I still want to see that fight, but it needs to happen. And by the way, they're saying that it might happen, despite what Bob Arum is saying, all the stuff he's talking about. There's indications that that fight could still happen. By the way, I got Bucho here. Bucho, you there?
You got...
Can you hear
me?
me?
We got Jimmy too, yeah.
Hello? What's
fellas.
up? It's the show. Sorry, dude, I gotta pay attention. All right, sorry.
Jimmy always thinks it's a
real
call.
Dude, I just picked up the phone as well. I'm like, hello? What a moron. I gotta look. All right.
Well, take your time.
What's going on, guys?
Well, we're talking about, all of you guys just jumped in at the same time. So I was talking about the Chisora versus Parker fight. I don't know if you guys caught it, but some people are saying that it was a robbery. I didn't see it that way. Those of you that saw it, what do you think?
Well, I thought Parker won the fight. I mean, it just reaffirmed my passion for hockey, though.
Oh, come on, man! Was it that bad a fight, or the decision? The score?
It's just domestic level talent in Chisora or Shitor. What's his name again?
Chisora.
Yeah, and Chisora and Parker just is feather fisted, is just willing to fucking go the distance, just. Like Bivella, I was so disappointed in that kid, man.
Really?
I want to see, dude. But this way, after this many years, I think he's more talented. But his hand speed, his footwork's unbelievable, his balance. But he just doesn't seem to get it, man. It's like, dude, you can't sit there and keep putting in these fucking just eking out performances when you're obviously that much more talented than your opponent, and you just. At the end of the fight, you get your hand raised and you start, okay, I want to fight this guy. It's like, what reason would Canelo want to fight you on this? What are you going to bring? You're not going to bring any fan base. You know what I mean? So
you know what?
The whole promotion would be on whoever he fights.
I got you.
But let's talk to him.
We'll get to that. Right, I got you. And I'm actually on board with a lot of what you're saying. But before we get to that, let's finish up here with the Chisora Park, and then we'll get to that. I also got Gonzalo and Bucho. Bucho, let's start with you, man. The fight at the Parker versus Chisora. What'd you think of it?
He was kind of boring, sloppy. Chisora slow as fuck. What's his name? Parker. I mean, he hit his limit, his potential. This is it. I mean, is he gonna get better in the future? I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't. It was a bad fight. I mean, Usyk did a better job with Chisora than Parker. You know what I mean? For these people who keep saying that Usyk has no chance in the heavyweight division, that once he gets clipped, he's gonna get dropped. And I mean, if somebody is getting dropped by Chisora, or if somebody did get dropped by Chisora, it was Parker, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, anyways, Nah, I wasn't impressed with Parker. It could have gone either way. I would lean more towards Parker. I think maybe he won the fight. Not impressed. Not impressed at all.
I saw Gonzalo's. I think he's at the hospital right now, so I don't know. I don't think he can talk all that much.
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, you watched it?
If you go round by round, yeah, I
Okay.
watched it next door. It was early. If you go round by round, I think that Chisora wins the fight because he got the knockdown and he did it's better because Parker wasn't doing that much but retreating, blocking, trying to gather himself because Chisora was bringing it, and he was bringing it because of the size and because of the kind of sloppy, but they're clubbing shots and they're landing some of them, and so he's winning the rounds based on his aggression. But he's looking the worse for wear because he's getting tired. He's laboring to breathe in the corner. He's exhausted. Then Parker comes on, landing the more accurate, faster shots that are having you think, he's the better boxer. But by the end of the day, when you get to like the 12th round and you think that Chisora could have edged that round also like I did, and you tally up the scores, you would say that the guy landing the clubbing shots in the beginning that are kind of ending up like slapping shots in the latter half, but still probably took the 12th round, should have deserved to win the fight against the fighter that did the cleaner work in the middle to the late part of the fight, which was Parker. But when you score it, Chisora wins. And does it mean this was a great elite heavyweight fight? No, it wasn't. Like Jimmy said, it was like local talent in Chisora, and the other guy both of them, they just never do enough to clearly win a fight.
With a breakdown like that, Gonzalo, I gotta rewatch the fight now and figure out if maybe you're right. Maybe Chisora, because you made some great points right there, man. Before we continue, by the way, let's go to the phone calls real quick. We already got 2 people. Don't forget, fellas, the phone number is right there in the middle portion of your screen. All right, let's go to the.
I gotta say also, I fast forwarded from the 4th round to the 9th. I ain't gonna lie. I did.
I don't blame you.
Blasted it. It was just I needed to get to the end.
Yeah, you got a little sloppy there at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, let's go to the phone calls here. We got the wild card. 111. You're on the air. 111. What's on your mind? 111. You're on the air. Going once. Go. What?
Yo, you're a bitch, bro. You're a bitch. Everyone on there's a bitch, bro. Fuck all you guys up, bro. Fuck Johnny Boy. Fuck DDA.
Hey, this sounds like. Is this Kevin from Chicago?
Fuck DDA.
Sounds like Kevin from Chicago, but
yeah.
It
sounds like Kevin from Chicago. He's got the same high-pitched voice. No, what it is. I mean, what do you want from me? Oh, he hung up. All right. Let's go to the another phone call here. 603. 603. You're on the air. 603. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing fantastic, man.
So, first of all, I want to... What's everybody's opinion on that fucking fight? Like, as far as the scorecards, what do you guys think about that?
Man, listen, I gotta agree with the people in the chat room. 116, 111 was pretty wide, especially since the way Gonzalo just broke it down. When he said that, look, fucking Chisora was landing good body shots. You gotta account the knockdown in there as well. Parker's shots were a little bit on the slappy side. Jimmy, what about you? What did you? I know you.
I don't think I don't really that. Will they have the replay now? I would have if I was Parker's people. I mean, I didn't think that was a clean knockdown. It looked like his feet were tangled. He just got fucking, you know what I mean? It looked more like a slip, to be honest with you. But again, I was kind of in a fog. I was just like, I just, because, you know what I mean? Again, maybe I'm spoiled. I saw so many great heavyweight fights in my life to see that shit and to think this is a pay-per-view. Sometimes I get just fixated on that, like, wow, this is really it? These guys are top 10 heavyweights?
Jimmy, what about you? Well, I mean, that's one way of looking at it, I suppose. I mean, yeah, that's true. And these are, Butcher, what do you think? These are 2 top 10 heavyweights. Like, I think I pointed out.
Unfortunately, yes, they are.
I pointed that out last night too, as well, when we were talking about Ruiz and Parker. But I'll get to those fellas later. So, Caller, I mean, yeah, you can see that most people here on the panel none too impressed. Same thing with people in the chat room. What are your thoughts on the fight?
I don't think it was a flat-out robbery because, you know, if you saw, you know, in between rounds, Joseph Parker wasn't breathing nearly as heavy as Derek Chisora was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he sounded like he was about to have a fucking heart attack, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, it's true, man. Fucking guy was looking. Look, he started out looking like a bear, and he ended up looking like a pig midway to the fight. But I mean, kudos to him. Moving all that weight around, it ain't easy, man. Just goes to show you how much energy it takes to put pressure on. But so yeah, what were you saying? Sorry.
How much did Chisora weigh for this fight?
Hold on, let me check that out for you, man. Must have been. Listen, that's the other thing. When people say, "Oh, Usyk struggled a little bit against him," yeah, but that Chisora, I think he weighs almost as much as some of the taller guys. Hold on a second. Derek Chisora, Joseph Parker, Wayne. This is from Yahoo, and it says 17 stone. Ah, come on. What? So the British contender tipped the scales at 17 stone, 12 pounds. What the fuck? What is that in normal weight? In weights that everybody understands, not just fucking England. 17 stone in pounds. Anybody know? Butcher, you're good with. 250 pounds. Whoa. Yeah, I think he weighed in 250 pounds today.
Shit.
Or last night, rather. I mean, yeah.
Wow.
So that's, hey, just for.
So he probably gained weight since yesterday.
Probably. I mean, look, just for context, Anthony Joshua weighed in 250 pounds for the Klitschko fight. And he's 6 feet 6 inches tall. This fucking Chisora is what, 6 feet 1 inch tall? Or 2 inches tall?
Yeah, but he's probably having around 12% body fat. He's not exactly stealth.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
Yeah, he's not exactly the prettiest thing to look at, I'll tell you that.
That's right. Well, unless you're into that type of stuff. I've seen some videos on the internet. But listen, caller. So, where does Parker go from here, man? Well, who would you like to see him step in there against? Joyce, Usyk?
That's a good question.
We have to.
I hear a lot of people saying Wilder. I don't want to see that fight. At least not yet. I don't know. I want to see him fight the winner of Ruiz Areola. That'd be fun.
That's a good point. They're fighting on the same day.
Yeah, and I mean they've done it before, right? Luis and Parker.
Yeah.
So I mean, why maybe a rematch to figure things out? Yeah, listen. At the end, like Jimmy said, he's not too excited to see that fight. But anyway, listen, caller, we got to move on. But thank you for your call. And
you know who this caller is, right? This is the kid who's been on the panel before with us. He's the young boy from New Hampshire. What's your name again, brother?
Yeah.
Jay. What?
James.
Oh, James. Yeah.
Jay. Yeah, James. Yeah, James.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I don't know why Tim, but yeah, it's James.
You're the guy
Why don't
with
you
the
say who you were, man, when he was calling you caller?
You're the guy with the cross, right? On the Discord, or?
Yes.
Anyway, all right. No. I was asking you about your avatar. But anyway, listen, James. Well, thank you for your call, man. We're gonna move on to other calls, but we'll catch you on the next one, all right, man? Take it easy.
Yeah, of course.
Good call, man.
You too.
Take it easy.
See you later, James.
All right, let's go to.
You know he's just a kid too, right? You know he's only like 18 years old.
I didn't
which is
know
pretty
that, man.
impressive how much boxing he knows. Yeah, he's just a kid. Or 17, something like that. Yeah, real young.
Let's go to another phone call here. 447. You're on the air. 447. What's on your mind? 447. You're on the air. Going once.
Oh, is it me?
That's right. It's you.
All right, big up you guys. Big up BDA Boxing. This is Ibrahim from Off the Canvas Boxing. Shout out to you guys, and bless up for all of your content that you guys have been producing over the last few weeks as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
just
What did you say? Off the
this-
canvas boxing?
Yeah, Off the Canvas Boxing.
All right. Shout out to Off the Canvas Boxing. What's on your mind, my friend?
Big up. With regards to the Chisora Parker, before that there was a women's fight with Katie Taylor. That was a huge fight. Probably fight of the year contender for that fight. Between Katie Taylor versus Sasha Jonas. Great fight. But with Chisora Parker, I think it's hard to tell. But for me, I had this. A lot of people are saying this is in the UK because I was listening to another stream in the UK where a lot of people were saying Chisora was robbed. I don't necessarily think that Chisora was robbed. I think Joseph Parker slightly won this fight. And the reason why I say this is because Chisora was active, throwing good shots in the earlier part of the fight from rounds 1 to about round 5, he was at his most peak. He's at his most active. But from round 6 and 7 onwards to about literally almost to the end, he took a lot of time. He took a lot of breaks off, and that's when Parker came. Parker wasn't throwing as good of quality shots as Chisora was in the earlier part, but he was just throwing a few jabs, and just point scoring and winning those rounds. So I had Parker winning, but both for me, Chisora overall looked a little better, but I had to slightly edge it to Parker. I think Parker, I'm not. I don't know about you lot, but I'm not actually convinced. I don't think he's actually mentally in the game, as a lot of people may think. I don't think he's mentally up there with regards to having that ferocious nature. Say, look, I'm going to go to war, etc. I think Chisora basically is one of those ones that when you get thrown into a deep water and you basically have to learn how to swim. That's exactly what happened with Joseph Parker. And I don't know what's next for him. For me, a good fight for him next, because Ruiz is fighting today, maybe a rematch against Ruiz. Ruiz will want that after his loss to, controversial loss to Parker. But that would be a good fight for both of them. And yeah, those are my thoughts with regards to the Joseph Parker. I'm not convinced with regards to Chris Eubank Jr. And he was trained by Roger Jr. For me, that was a rubbish fight. The light heavyweight fight, the light heavyweight fight with Bivol, Craig Richards. Craig was very, very good. If Craig stepped it up and was a lot more active, he could have won that fight. But he took a lot of rounds off, and that was the problem. But overall, a great night of boxing, a great card, and just looking forward to the Ruiz Arreola fight.
Yeah, man, good breakdown of the night, man. I mean, look, I like the night. I like the Parker Chisora fight. I don't think it was that boring. I did think it was sloppy, but not a bad fight overall. So, now, if you want to talk about meandering, I think the Bivol fight, but we'll get to that one. Anyway, anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, with regards to next week, with regards to Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo Alvarez, I've got Billy Joe winning this fight, and I'm part of the very few minority. I've got Billy Joe winning this fight. The reason why I say that over all of Canelo's previous opponents is because Billy Joe has the exact style. If you had to mold the style to beat Canelo Alvarez, it will be one of Billy Joe Saunders, because we've seen Canelo get hit with power shots with Golovkin and a lot of his other previous opponents who have a lot of power, and they not even put a dent in him. And I don't think you could knock out Canelo Alvarez. I don't think even Anthony Joshua can knock out Canelo Alvarez. That's how. I don't know what it is with him. Is that he's so physically conditioned. Some people are saying this for the meat that he's eating, but that's a conspiracy. But pardon?
Carla, can I ask you? Do you think Canelo can knock Billy Joe Saunders out? Do you think he has the strength or the ability to knock him out?
I don't think he can knock him out, because the reason why is because Billy Joe Saunders is too slick. He's way too slick, and he's not, with regards to his chin, etc. I've not even seen Billy Joe Saunders get rocked in my whole life. I'm not even seen him get really hurt. That's how good he is, and he's been slipping out of a lot of power shots from a lot of his previous opponents.
Well, can I ask you another question, caller? Wouldn't you think that? Can I ask you another question along those lines? Wouldn't you think that you've never seen him get rocked because he's never fought anybody? He just doesn't take on tough talent. This will be leaps and bounds above anything he's ever fought before. I mean, that can't be under stress.
That is true.
You know what I mean? Like leaps and bounds above anybody he's ever fought.
But the thing is, with Billy Joe Saunders, he's a bit like a Tyson Fury in a sense where he could fight the likes of a Tom Schwartz and the Otto Vollins and the likes of that Tepes Ferry. But when this the bigger night, he would step up. With the David Lemieux fight, I gave him no hope during that fight, and he stepped up. With the Chris Eubank fight, he stepped up. Since then, he's put in instinctive performances, but I just believe that he's not been in the right mind frame to compete at the best. For me, I think he beats Canelo on points, it's difficult to get a place against Canelo, but I think I've never seen Billy Joe Saunders as fit as he is in my whole life. With regards to his conditioning, I've never seen him like that in my entire life. And I think that he's mentally and physically in the right place to beat Canelo Alvarez. I think he can jab, move, he can basically make Canelo miss.
But don't you realize how wide he'd have to beat him on points to get the decision?
Well, listen,
you
we're
must know that, right?
We're gonna get to that.
Right? I mean, let's be honest. He'd have to really beat him to get that decision.
We're gonna get to that in the build-up for the fight.
That is true.
We're gonna get to that later on in the week when we preview the fight. For the moment, though, I gotta tell you called it. You said Billy Joe Saunders. So if he wins, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna make you have to lick your feet if you're into that type of stuff. Maybe you can make him do some other stuff. I don't know. But yeah, but listen, I think it's still a pretty. Some people already have in their minds that all the scorecards are set for the Canelo fight. That Billy Joe Saunders is gonna throw the fight. I don't know, man. He seems to have some spunk in him. He's complaining about the judges already. He's saying Eddie Hearn is not supporting him. So he seems to be lighting a fire under his own ass to get himself going. So I like the attitude going in. I don't think he's going in there to lay down. So caller, thank you for your call. Call back next time and have yourself a good weekend. All right, take it easy, man.
You too, guys.
All right, so you can see there, people. So, look, listen, Joseph Parker versus Chisora. I thought it was an interesting fight too. I agree with the caller. But I do agree also with something he said where Joseph Parker does seem to have a limit when it comes to mentality because, look, Chisora jumped on him. He was forced to fight. He let his hands go. He also did his share of clinching, which is always boring. But he got past Chisora, meaning if you're above Chisora, that means you're at least a good heavyweight for today's standards, right? I know Jimmy has something to say about that. But at least for today's standards, he's not a bad fighter. But when he fought Joshua, he had no answers. Joshua was just throwing a jab, lead left hook. Parker was preoccupied with rolling with the right hands. And he didn't do much. He lost himself a decision. Against Dylan White, again, got started too late. Now in this fight, he manages to put on a good display of boxing, even though some people in the chat room feel he didn't deserve the decision. But you gotta wonder, what's next? And I'm looking at the Ring Magazine heavyweight rankings here. As you can see, hold on a second, those aren't the rankings. That's Dylan White, number 3. Luis Ortiz, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing Joseph Parker taking on Luis Ortiz just for the stylistic matchup. But I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. All right, let me ask you this, fellas. The Povetkin that we saw fight a couple of weeks ago against Dylan White, do you think Joseph Parker spanks him?
Joseph Parker, yeah, because Povetkin, he's 40. This guy's in his prime. He's only like 27. He's fleet of foot. He throws good combinations. And I think that, okay, Povetkin might deal with a guy like that similar to Michael Hunter, where, he's not going to be like he looked against, who's this guy that he fought, Dillian White. He's not going to look unsteady in his feet because the reason he looked unsteady was too much power coming down his way for Povetkin to deal with. As an older man, that was too much. But he's not going to be overloaded like that against a Parker. But still, I think that Parker would win because he's just a younger, fresher fighter.
Well, yeah. I think the age factor definitely has something to do with that, man. Mitch L says, Andy Lee struggles with southpaw. Prudut says Parker is not a top fighter. Well, I mean, again, he's a top 10 heavyweight, that's for sure. You can't deny that. But whether he can be a top 3 heavyweight when you got Joshua, Fury, and even Wilder to a certain extent. I don't know if... what do you guys think? You think Joseph Parker could... The one that we saw tonight, and what we've seen from him, of course, obviously beforehand, do you think he can beat Wilder? Or does he get caught with a big right hand? No. Oh.
No. I think Wilder would knock him out.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, it just depends. Wilder might never fight again. Plus, it's a cross promotion, so it's not going to happen. He's with his own, so right. I don't know.
But I'm just saying. I'm just asking because Parker.
No, I understand what you're saying.
He fights with his hands down.
I don't know.
Parker fights.
Chisora has better defense than Wilder. Yeah, I mean, so who's to say that Parker can't land on Wilder? He definitely can. So He can win that fight. He might even stop Wilder. I'm not even joking.
Well, that's the thing, though.
And you know what? The
Chisora,
I did notice he did well. He brought the element of surprise in the sense that he jumped on Parker early.
Mm-hmm.
And with that size and being fresh, you saw how he got the knockdown. That's a handful for anybody to deal with. Of course, yeah, if you land on him back and you can counter him hard, like one of these powerful heavyweights like Deontay Wilder, Dillian White, maybe Andy Ruiz and Fury can. But more like the first two that I mentioned, yeah, you may be able to stop Chisora early, but just him having that size and him jumping on his opponents early, like he did against Usyk as well, it's a lot for anybody to deal with. Just think of it in terms of life, big dude just coming at you.
Man, listen, big dudes, small dudes, they can all come at me, man. I'll handle them either way. You get what I'm saying, Gonzalo? Nobody steps up to Mr. BDA without taking a few lumps. By the way, I hear some singing in the background. Are you in a Native American hut, or where's that singing coming from?
My wife is singing. She's doing the Zoom, the Kingdom, Jehovah's Witness. She's singing the songs.
All right, fantastic.
Sorry about that, because I'm in the ICU.
No, I'm kidding. I was kidding. Jeez. Yeah, you don't get to apologize for nothing. When it comes to Joseph Parker, yeah, because Abucho, you said you don't know whether Wilder knocks Parker out. Do you think Parker could outbox Wilder? I'm just curious.
I don't know, maybe. Outwork him, not outbox him, because he has no skills.
Yeah, because I don't see Parker pressuring Wilder the way Tyson Fury did.
Nah, but he can make it look ugly, and it could be a lot of clinching. He could win at one of those type of decisions. One of those.
Butch, I'm gonna have to mute you because I hear you munching on something there. I hope you're not munching on your own skin or something.
Munching.
It sounds like you're eating. Anyway, the point is, I would still be interested in seeing that fight, man. Let me tell you, Parker versus Wilder, it's speed versus speed. They're quick heavyweights. And Wilder did come out with that video a couple of days ago, where he's saying he's back, and people were making fun of his legs because they look like scarecrow legs. By the way, people need to remind themselves, man. I take offense to that because I got thin legs too. Doesn't matter how much I squat, how many fucking weights I put on and start doing those dip toes or whatever you call them. I can't get them to grow, the calves to grow that much. It's insane. Jimmy,
calves, you just can't, dude. Calves are genetics. That's why Arnold Schwarzenegger had implants, dude. You just really, it's almost impossible. You're either born with big forearms and calves or you're not.
I want big calves.
That's what makes bodybuilding so fucking, subjective. It's because you're born with that shit. You can't earn it. So, so look at all his early pitches. 16 until about 17 years old, his first 2 years of bodybuilding, he always took pictures in lakes and stuff, water up to his knees. And then when he got to California, it was the guy who owned Gold's Gym who paid for implants for him.
Let me tell you something. I want big calves, and I want them now. You understand what I'm saying? By the way, do you
Chicken breast, pay for them. It's about $6,000. Go get it.
No, by the way, I also have to remind people of Manny Pacquiao's calves. Look at those motherfuckers. That's natural. Like Jimmy said, that's genetics right there, man. I don't think he had implants. And that's where the power comes from. That's
just genetics. It's all it is, yeah.
That's right. All right, now, when it comes to the heavyweight division, I wanted to mention something that I said yesterday. Isn't it a little bit sad, and Jimmy, I think this goes to your point, isn't it a little bit sad that reading up on Luis and Parker, because Parker fought today, Luis is going to fight later on tonight. The big story with them is, if they get in shape, they're rejuvenated, they change trainers, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking these are two top 10 heavyweights, and their big marketing strategy is to say that now they've rededicated themselves to the sports. Isn't that a little pathetic that this is where we're at right now with this type of fighters?
A little?
Well, I'm being kind. I'm being a little kind, Jimmy.
You're being kind. Again, you always are.
Well,
you're a gentleman.
Well, what do you think about that? I mean,
my thing is this, dude. Days like this, cards like that, make me weep for the sport. To be honest with you, the whole card from beginning to end. I mean, the best fight was the girls. Let's just be honest. It was.
I didn't watch it. Maybe I should have, huh?
But it's just it's sad, man. And there was a pay-per-view. Oh God.
Well, it was a pay-per-view in England, I heard, right? Is that what the commentator said, or?
Yeah, in the UK, it's a pay-per-view in UK. And they just bend those fans over there, man. Fucking UK, they don't take care of their fans at all.
They take care of their fans the way they take care of their teeth. Absolutely horrendously. Now, let me tell you this. When it comes to Parker, look, he beat Chisora. I wouldn't mind seeing him in there against Joe Joyce. That would be an intriguing fight. But for the moment, I think it's pretty clear that when it comes to heavyweight boxing, it's Joshua, it's Fury, in terms of being consistent. Actually, here's my thing, because I saw Dylan White there, and I said, wait a minute, he recently got his ass knocked out by Povetkin. Meanwhile, Joshua lost to Ruiz not that long ago either. So would it be fair to level criticism against Anthony Joshua for having lost to Ruiz? Is he a little bit...
These are the heavyweight, the heavyweight fighters, man. Just because Povetkin's old, slow as fuck, he just landed a perfect shot. You know, he caught him. It's going to happen every now and then in boxing. It's not that big of a deal. And White went back in the second fight and showed exactly what it was. So, you know, White deserves to be where he's at right now. I think he prices himself out. I think he thinks he's worth more than he is. But let's just be honest. And like I tweeted out, man, the other day, if Joshua Fury doesn't happen this summer, I hope it never does, because I don't want them to get the money. I don't want them to get $100 million each, those fucks, because this is ridiculous.
Wasn't the last update that they sent, Joshua's side sent Fury's side the site agreement, and that they're going to look at it, and then possibly next week there's going to be an announcement?
Yeah, but listen, like Bob says, though, man, this is the key. It's all talk until there's money. And like Aaron, you know, he's been in this game too long. How many people have said, oh, until it's time to fucking put up the money, and the money never fucking materializes. And it's like he said, I'm not going to keep talking about this until we see some actual hard currency exchange hands. And they haven't put any up. So you can see you have all the investors in the world. If you could, you know, could be the guy trying to put on this fight as he's doing this, you know, trying to court these guys to come. He's still on the phone trying to get solid, you know, investors. Well, and again, that last fight, thanks to Ruiz and Joshua, that last fight probably doesn't have motherfuckers out there lining up to give up their fucking tens of millions of dollars. It's going to be some young playboy who just has money to burn, some Arab, you know, some fucking one of the, you know, the king's family, because it's just, I don't think I don't think the site fee, it's ridiculous. It's not worth it. Plus, with the COVID, how are they going to get their money back? I'm just not very optimistic at this point. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just not optimistic.
Wait, so is the big obstacle for you the COVID thing? The fact that they might not be able to get a crowd in there? Or?
No, right now the big obstacle for me is just these people. If they were serious for a site fee, they would have had at least thrown some money up. You know what I mean? Secure the right, like, you know, his $10 million, wire $10 million into an escrow account. You know, so, or half of it, something to show that they have the fucking money and they're serious. And like that's what Bob said. He goes, it's all talk until we see fucking cash. And I'm just not gonna. And I don't know, man. It seems like it's taking a long fucking time. And I think maybe Saudi Arabia wants it, and they're trying to keep them from going somewhere else until they can lift these COVID restrictions. Maybe that's how it's tied in. That way they could fill up a stadium, because they have new stadiums over there. If they can fill them up, man, they'll spend, you know, people spend a lot of money there to go see it. They'll turn a profit. But they cannot hold that fight in a fucking, with, you know, 100 fucking people there. They'll never make their money back, ever.
Huh, that's it. Yeah, okay, so that's one big stumbling
block.
Right,
I mean, do the math, right? $100 million each they're talking about, or at minimum. Well, Joshua got, what, $80 million for the Ruiz fight. So you figure he's going to expect at least that. So it's $160 million. So how much in tickets? I mean, God knows they're not going to do that in pay-per-view sales. It's not even going to come fucking close to that. And I wouldn't even think the people in Saudi would have any claim to that. So it would be all about filling a stadium, charging, I don't know, God knows, $1,000 a ticket, who knows, but whatever they would have to do to turn a profit. But even some fucking Egyptian, you know, or some Saudi prince is going to drop, you know, the Saudi prince is going to drop $150 million so we could fucking say, hey, I had these guys fight here. I just, something's fishy, man.
Imagine some ancient Egyptian pharaoh is resurrected, and he's half god, half man, and he finds a wealth of gold that he buried thousands of years ago, and they come up with that side fee. That's one way it would happen, and that means that it's a long shot. So as you can see, maybe Jimmy's got a point. Maybe this fight is looking like it might not happen, which it would be a shame. Would be a shame because they've done a lot of talking. Real quick, let's go to the phone lines here. Let's go to 773. You're on the air. 773. What's on your mind?
Well, if it isn't another British hype job that gets beat down. Did you see that? What's his name?
Chisora.
Saffron.
Oh, Saffron.
That is his name?
I didn't see that fight.
Yeah, James Tennyson got beat down by the McDonald. Saffron. They're fighting for the IBO title. I'm telling you, man, they just give these British bums opportunity after opportunity when they don't deserve it. It was a British Commonwealth belt and Intercontinental blah, 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 and all of a sudden they're fighting for a world title. It's a joke, man. These dudes they just get these opportunities they don't deserve, and what happens when he gets a little step up, he gets beat. So, more business than usual.
Well,
in
it's
that
not like
regard.
Americans, Kevin. It's not like Americans. Everybody else is stepping up. You know what I mean? At least England's putting out fucking fighters. You know, you got to give it.
No,
to them
you're
for
wrong.
That.
They didn't deserve it, Jim. They didn't deserve it. He had no business fighting for a title. That's my point. There's plenty of other fighters that were willing to fight for that title, but because he's got the money and the backing, they throw a title in there with them. That's what it's about. And he wants, everyone wants to step up. No.
Was it a world title?
Anyways.
What title was it?
It was the IBO.
That's not even not a belt you have. It's a junior belt, kind of, because it's not one of the belts they consider you a unified champion. Like, you don't have to have that to be a unified champion. You got to have the fucking IBF, WBC, WBA, and WBO. Those are the 4 belts you're going to have to be unified champion. IBO is that's like fucking retarded cousin's belt.
Oh, well, yeah, it is. It is.
Take a step below. It's a step below before the four big ones.
Well, it's not even. I still think I don't follow the alphabet titles, and even if I did, I wouldn't consider the WBO because that's a fairly recent one. I mean, come on, 4 now. What's next? The IBO?
Oh, WBO's been around 25 years at least, right?
Yeah, but it's only
since the 90s.
But it's only been recognized after, once Joe Calzaghe started doing his thing in America when he beat Jeff Lacey. That's when people start saying, "Oh, WBO, maybe there is something to it." But I mean, come on.
Well, my only thing is I count it because they count it as a unified, and to me, that's still the most impressive thing to do in boxing, to unify a division. It's why it's done so infrequently.
Jimmy, don't do this to me, man.
That's one of the 4.
Don't you do this to me.
Hey, but how about this, guys? Bivol.
Don't you do this
They're
to me,
fighting in England.
No, I'm just saying that as an achievement, I think that's the most.
Yeah. I feel you, Jimbo. But Bivol, see the scorecards, they're trying to rob him again, man.
Hello, Kev. We hear you,
They're going to
brother.
rob him again. 115, 113, 115, 114. They got to get the hell out of England. If it wasn't for the money, they wouldn't be fighting there. But they go over there, they get big paydays. But if this dude, they would have robbed his ass if the dude showed up in any sort of way. He was getting outboxed the whole fight. Bibble was in cruise control. And they said 115, 113, 115, 114 is just absurd. So what's your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, that fight. That scorecard was ridiculous. Bivol put a lesson, and then I heard that kid earlier. The caller earlier said he's going to watch that fight now. Richards, he's going to watch it and say, "Oh, if I would have done things more." No, because if you notice, anytime he had any success, Bivol came back and put it on him. Bivol's one of those kids. You're going to have to be in a war. I think he'll be in his best fight, you know what I mean, when he's attacked the most. When he gets hit is when he fights the best. So I don't believe if that kid put more on him. I think if he put more on him, Bivol would have fucking probably finished him.
I think he could have, man.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. He seems like he's one of those guys who he likes fighting at his pace, and he's a tactician. He's not going to go out there and brawl and slug it out, get in his face, and try to put some away. That's just not his style. He was in control the whole fight, and those scorecards were ridiculous. How about this? Oh,
yeah, they were ridiculous.
My favorite fighter, Alexander Usyk. He did it. He's the champ. He's the uncrowned champ. in his fight, the way Joseph Parker went in there and struggled with Chisora, I thought Chisora won that fight. So, and Usyk, he beat Chisora handily. Chisora had his moments, but I thought Usyk was in cruise control again as usual, outboxing him. I thought Chisora won that fight though. What do you guys thought? You think they got the scorecards right? What do you guys think? I'm trying to get your mind out thing and trying to figure it out. You want to tell me? What are you talking about? Go, get with the
I fast forwarded the fight. That's what I thought.
It's one of those things that Parker boxed better, but if you count the knockdown and he won the first 5, then he won the 12th, it's like a 7-5 fight. And although the rounds that Parker won, he won them clear. If you count round by round, Chisora wins that slightly.
I tell you one thing that disturbed me, Kevin, about Joseph Parker is he's got back hair, but it's back hair on the lower sides. It's bizarre. It's like usually you have people have back hair at the top or at the bottom in the middle. This motherfucker has it on the side, so he's some sort of like a weird animal. You know, New Zealand, they got all sorts of weird animals.
It's like fucking, dude, you can't fucking afford waxing.
Oh,
you know what I mean? You'll be on television with your shirt off. Wax your back, man. Don't look out there looking like you had a fucking sweater on and a half sweater too. Yeah, that's weird. He's got kidney straps. Kidney straps at front.
Ah, disgusting, man.
He's got that weird
wax that shit, man.
New Zealand thing going on it, but it's also the what's his heritage? What do they call it? Samoan? I think he's Samoan.
Maori. I think he's
Kiwi
Maori.
hair, man. It's Kiwi hair. It's a style.
Yeah, maybe it's the fashion trend over there. You know, they got hair on the sides of the body in the back. I don't know. It was weird. Maybe it helps him. Maybe if he would have shaved, it would have helped him out with his stamina. Maybe he would have glided through the ring. Maybe that shit was aerodynamic or something. I don't know. But listen, Kevin, we have to move on. And by the way, are you gonna watch the Ariola? What's his name? Luis Ariola court, or are you gonna?
No, he already said he doesn't have the $60 to throw around for that crap.
Oh, was that him? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, he did.
All I know is Kalnatsky, he beat Ariola in the fight of the year. That was I think he set a heavyweight record for strikes landed or strikes thrown or something. And Kalnatsky's my guy. I'm gonna go with him. But if he's landing on there, if he's going toe to toe and piecing him up, I don't see him lasting with Ruiz. I think Ruiz gets him out of there. This is an obvious cupcake fight. Kind of get his confidence back. You know what I mean? So after this, they're going to set him up with a much tougher competition. So yeah, there's no worth. I'm going to be watching the UFC for sure. UFC's got some big fights on.
You know what? It's time for you to go, man. Kevin, thank you for your call, man. I don't like this whole UFC obsession of yours. It's unnatural. It's weird.
If there was a bigger fight on, I would have, man. It's all about the bigger competition, bigger fights. No, that ain't nothing to talk smoke about. We're talking real fights. This is a joke of a fight. Ruiz going to walk right through him. He's going to piece him up, knock him out. It can be a relatively easy fight, I'm telling you. Watch and learn from the king.
All right, take it easy, Kevin. Thank you for calling in, man. No,
I think true. That becomes...
Yeah. Go ahead, Gonzalo.
Yeah, it's a referee stoppage. I don't think Ariola quits. He's coming in shape, but I think... Hold on, I gotta step outside. Too much talk.
That's okay. By the way, why are people criticizing Kevin? I thought it was a good call today. Graham says caller is taking Xanax. Cut him off. why do people always come up with everybody always insults the callers like that? Like the British caller that called in earlier. Somebody goes, he's off his rocker. Get him off the line. So what? We get him off the line when you guys tell us to. Come on now, man. You call in. You let us know if we're crazy or not, man. I'm curious. DJ.
Yeah, I'm gonna begin.
Yes.
Yeah, after you're done.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just thinking that restops Ariola in like the 10th.
Yeah.
But I think it's a referee stoppage. The referee steps in. It's going to be a good fight. But beyond the lookout, I think the interesting fight that's going to steal the night is going to be Omar Figueroa versus Abel Ramos. I think that's going to be a really, really good fight.
That's right. That is the only one that made me go, that undercard might be, but no, I'm not going to pay just to watch that fight. As much as it could be a good fight, it should be on ESPN, Fox Sports, or The Zone. but not pay-per-view, man. I'm not gonna watch that. By the way, incidentally, people were saying Joseph Parker is Samoan. He's Maori. Samoans are from what, Hawaii or
Samoa.
No, it's, well,
Island
no,
of Samoa.
the whole area down there has got Samoan blood all in that area. The Samoans, they fucking all the way up to Hawaii. They spread. They were seafaring people.
People are right. It says here he's predominantly. Hold on, let me put it up so you people see I'm not bullshitting. He's predominantly Samoan, with ancestry roots going back to the. Hold on a second. What the fuck?
PG.
Tsunami boxing appeal. Well, I don't know what that means, but yeah, he's Samoan. I thought he was Maori because I saw him doing that Maori dance there, and since he's from New Zealand, I said I assume he must be a Maori, but nah, Samoan. Why wouldn't you know it? What was I gonna say about Joseph Parker? Well, listen, yeah, Joseph Parker's got quick hands. I don't know what else to say about it. I like the fight, but I thought he was a little bit sloppy at times. Chisora, he always seems to come up short, especially now as his career is starting to wind down. But I mean, he gave it a good old go. It wasn't enough. I don't think it was a robbery. And now let's see what happens with Joseph Parker. I'm still gonna be intrigued to see what happens, but they have to match him up with a clear-cut style that will benefit him and the fans. Because if you put him there against the
Has he ever been in a fight that has been exciting? I mean, honestly, I can't remember. Maybe I just haven't seen the right ones, but my God,
fight.
Everything I've ever seen him in, it's just fucking puts you to sleep.
The camp fight was pretty good.
Shit. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a decent fight, but it wasn't anything that I wouldn't suggest you rewatch it just for the sake of it. Because again, it's like you're not going to gain much from it. Real quick, let's go to the phone calls here. Let's go to 509. 509, you're on the air. 509, what's on your mind?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, man. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, BDA? Are you guys ready for the fight of the year tonight?
I assume you're talking about Arreola versus Luis. Absolutely. Can't wait for it, man.
Of course. Fight of the year. I told we're going to have, and I'm not proud of this, but we're going to have a whole ass carne asada, or I guess a barbecue. I don't know what they would call it in England. And my fucking family bought the fight.
Wait.
And
When you say your
they're
family,
hyped for it.
hold on, we gotta straighten this out. When you say your family, are you talking about yourself, or are you talking about somebody specific in your family, or are you saying a bunch of people? Like who came up with this abhorrent idea?
No, everybody in my family put like $5. $5 each. 10 people put $5, and they paid for it.
And are you guys related to?
The worst thing.
Yeah, I'm asking. Are you guys
Go ahead.
related to? Are you guys related to Andy Luis? Because that's the only reason I could see that you guys would be willing to pay for this.
Fuck no, bro. And I don't know. The worst thing about it is that they're hyped for it. Like, they actually want to watch it. And I'm just like, honestly, I'm just gonna go for the food.
Yeah, I would do
That's
the same
just
thing.
extra.
It was I'm more interested in the type of food that you're gonna eat rather than the fucking Luis Arreola fight. What are you guys gonna have? Carne asada? Obviously, I'm supposing some
Carne
tortillas there.
asada, fucking birria, arroz, frijoles, everything, bro.
You gonna have strippers over, or?
I don't know what you're saying. You're making me sounds good.
Send me some tacos to the Philippines.
Yeah, there are gonna be some strippers there, some male adult entertainment. Or what's gonna happen there, man?
Well, shit, I don't know. It's a family event, so fuck. I hope not. But
Come
you don't
on,
know
man.
with my family.
You gotta listen.
They're
if
gonna
you-
cut little numbers and put it inside a hat and you pick around like they always do.
That's a. Well, listen. It sounds like at least you're gonna make an evening out of it. You know, one thing about us Mexicans is, you give us a lawn chair, a backyard, and a couple of beers, man. We're good to go. We don't need much to make a party out of something. So, I guess you guys are continuing that tradition. So what's your prediction, Luis Arreola? How do you see it going? How long do you think it lasts?
Really, in like probably 8 rounds. The ref's gonna step in. I don't think he'll knock him out clean, but just too much punishment, and we'll probably stop him.
Yeah,
but
I can see that.
anyways, fuck that fight. Fuck that fight. How do you guys feel about Canelo Saunders next week?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it more this coming week as we preview it. But look, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know about you guys on the panel, but I know some people think that it's a foregone conclusion that Billy Joe Saunders is going to throw the fight. I don't see that happening, man. What say ye?
For me personally,
It's a good
like,
fight.
People talk about Billy Joe. He's a good fighter, you know. He's a really good fighter, but the fights that they always bring up are the Eubank Jr. fight and the David Lemieux fight, which were at middleweight. They were at 160. This fight's at 168, and all the fights that Saunders had at 168,
that's his only two good wins.
Elite.
Yeah, caller, Jimmy's not too high. Jimmy's not too high on Billy Joe Saunders. Jimmy, maybe you can break it down again to the caller.
Well, I'm just gonna say because that's only his only two good wins. I mean, this kid made a professional career out of avoiding fights. I mean, he had a belt back in 2015, I think. I mean, he did everything to avoid Triple G for years, excuse after excuse. He never fought anybody. And then when he would fight these fucking handpicked dudes, he was supposed to make them look good. He would stink the place out. It just, you know, I've heard excuse after excuse with them. I just think if people are banking on what he did to Lemieux, he's gonna be able to do that to Canelo. They're fucking high.
Yeah,
Canelo can cut off the ring. He doesn't have fast feet, but he's not. If they think this is the same dude who Lara fought 6 years ago, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. That's all.
Yeah, and where the first caller earlier, he talked about that he thinks Billy Joe wins because he's slick. Well, yeah, he's got to be slick, but he's also got to be concerned about landing shots, not just getting away from them.
Exactly.
He's got to hit him.
He's got to eventually be in range. If he's going to hit Canelo, that means Canelo will be in range to hit him. And he's never been hit by anybody the way Canelo hits. Body to the head. I think he's going to really fuck him up to the body. And then it's either going to be a body shot that takes him out or be accumulation. It'll be either a corner stoppage or something. I think he's going to fucking make him. I think he's going to make him bleed for months every time he fights.
You guys, oh jeez, you guys don't think Billy Joe Saunders could make it interesting in there with the movement and the hand speed?
He'd have to really be running. The only way he's going to make it interesting, he's going to have to run his ass off.
With the movement, you know, Canelo's kind of have to be a sucker to, like, he's a good defensive fighter. He can block. He can slip and parry. But for Canelo to assume, okay, I got this guy moving around, coming in and out, that Canelo cannot protect himself just by simply seeing the guy come in, collapse the pocket. His first line of defense will be to block. Whether he decides to defend in the second way to step, whether Billy Joe attacks and he's got to divert the second punch, then he himself attack, or if Canelo go on the front foot and go after Billy Joe when Billy Joe collapses the pocket to attack initially. That's the thing that I think Canelo wins that battle, because he is. They say, Billy Joe's like the bullfighter. Well, no, the bullfighter don't run. You know, the bullfighter stays in place and allows the bull to come in. Then he goes for the kill. And I think Canelo's like the bullfighter and the bull. Because he ain't running around. He's defense and allows you to come in. Then he'll hit you back. But I mean, he's got to sit in there and make it into a dogfight too. Not just think about looking cute, being slick. Yes, all right, he is slick. But like Jimmy said, there's levels to this game. And if he wants to win, he's got to sit in there, trade with the guy, and win some of the exchanges. Right? Win some of the exchanges looking like a fighter, not just like a back foot fighter.
Right, that's a great point, man. He's got to make a statement in there with the judges, because we all know Canelo's the money man. Caller, anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of fighters that could sit, you know, and trade with Canelo right now, if any. But yeah, other than that, I don't think. Like I said, Saunders is a good fighter, but I just think Canelo's too good. And first, to box with someone like Canelo, you have to have power, basically, or else he's just going to walk you down. And I don't think Saunders has enough power to get respect from Canelo.
Yeah, I think.
Other than that, yeah,
I agree. I agree with some of what you're saying.
I'm still good. Yep.
I'm still looking forward to the fight, man, because I think it's an interesting mesh of styles. I don't think it's going to be entertaining, but I'm curious to see what happens. By the way, caller, Chris K in the chat says be careful. Luis and Ariola are gonna crash your barbecue after the fight. Yeah, they're gonna be hungry after the fight, man, after having to make weight and all that. Better lock those doors, man. Bolt them.
Did somebody say all you could eat?
Yeah. All right, caller. Thank you for your call, man.
Of course.
All right, take it easy,
All right,
man.
yeah,
and
thanks for having me.
thank you for calling. And enjoy your night, man. Have a good evening.
Enjoy the barbecue, brother.
Enjoy the barbecue. Take it easy, man. All right, yeah. I was more interested in hearing what he was gonna eat than the actual fucking fight. By the way, I think the undercard already started the event because people are saying in the chat room that Lara, Arislandi Lara, that is, knocked out Cornflake Lamana in one round. So spoilers, Lara got done.
That's a shock.
By the way, Lara's fighting at 160 now, and again, never really been
champion now.
Oh yeah, that's how does he? I think it was his first fight at 160. He gets a title already. See, I don't want to hear anything about Cuban discrimination and Lara and Rigondeaux, the slicksters. They don't get no love. Fuck that. Look at him. He moved up, hasn't fought in a while, and all of a sudden he gets a title shot at 160.
You get consideration if you're. Did he have a title down at 154?
I'm pretty sure
if you come up to a title, if you're a title holder and you come up, I think you do get consideration, especially from the belt that you held.
Yeah.
Like if you were WBA, I think they give you consideration right away.
Good for him. Now listen, I wanted to ask you fellas some of the other fights that we saw earlier. Okay, so we were talking about Bivol, and again, you guys seem to be a little unimpressed by him. Jimmy, what was your big gripe with Bivol? Was that he doesn't push the pedal enough or press?
He doesn't push the pedal. He doesn't. He doesn't fucking get combative until he gets hurt. Like a few times, like you can hear the announcer, oh, nice punch by Richards. And that's when I would put my head up. I wouldn't even listen. I was just like on my phone doing shit until I heard him say, ooh, nice shot by Richards, because it was always right after that. That's when you would expect Bivol, and he always did. If you caught him with a good shot, he'd come in and start laying on him. So he has this next gear that he could go in. And I'm like, what is it? Does he just not get it? Like, this isn't cutting the mustard. He's not creating fans. And I don't want to hear that he's been out of the fucking ring for 18 months, 5, whatever. Everybody has. Nobody's been in there. And it doesn't mean like, dude, try to stop somebody. Like, put the fucking, going. I mean, it's making me to the point where now if he was to fight Beterbiev, I'd probably be, rooting at least for Beterbiev to beat him just because he's willing to fucking entertain more. Like, you're just not gonna fucking put fans in the seats with performances like that. You're just not. And I'm gonna be honest, right across the board. I'm a fan of Bivol, but I'm just not a fan of that style. I'm a fan of his abilities, not his willingness to give it all.
Well, do you guys have anything to say about that, or can I go on?
Well, I didn't watch the fight. But what I can, because it's too early here in the Philippines.
Sure.
Because I'm in the hospital. But anyways, what I have to say about that, I know that he was an amateur, so he developed in a certain style, in a certain form that it's all about coming in and out, sort of like fencing. So he's good at that. Plus he's athletic. So yeah, he got that second gear. But other than that, he just might not have other ideas in his repertoire. He's good at what he does, but that's pretty much it.
That's a great point, because did he at any point go to the body?
Never. Not at any point. Not really. Nothing like it. The body was open for him. But the Olympic thing is this, okay? He's an Olympic fighter. He's fought most of his career in the amateurs. I always cut a fighter slack the first 5 to 10 fights to maybe shake that amateur style. But you know what I mean? Lomachenko was that too, remember? It took him 2 fights? By the time he was done with Salido, he learned what a pro was all about. He changed his style. So did Gennady to a little bit. So they take on that more of a professional style. It's like he just hasn't. That kid Richards, he could have stopped. I totally believe he could have. Because anytime he wanted to really lace him up, he had the ability. And he just waited to see what Richards was going to do.
And I say fencing because in and out, and I believe he throws more straight punches than he hooks. Straight punches will travel to your target faster, and they're really more effective. That's the way you want to throw your punches. And him sticking to that, he's probably going to be successful than most of the guys. And he has, 100%. He's beat everybody. And he got that tempo where that's based on the athleticism that he possesses and that style that he's perfected. it's gonna be effective against a lot of these guys. But show me something else that you could do, like be more aggressive, go for the kill, mix it up, and he doesn't go to that because he's probably not in his DNA.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. It's he's had. Look, I'm looking at his box rec here, and they say a leopard can change its spots. I disagree because we've seen it in the past. But when it comes to Bivol, it seems like Gonzalo, you're right. I think he's stuck in his ways because it's a style that's been effective for him for a while. Look, against Felix Valera, that was one of his big fights. Valera's a very tough guy, very awkward too. Cedric Agnew, Barrera, Chilemba, Pascal, Joe Smith Jr. Good opposition, nothing that will make you go, whoa, this guy's the best. But I mean, it's a solid resume. He's been consistent with it. But it's true. Look, I always talk about, okay, you can win the fight. You can win the fights. But now what else do you want? Are you content with just winning the fights and going through the motions, or do you want to make a statement? Because look at what Bivol did. I know Bivol's a puncher. And he managed to stop Gvozdyk when the time came for his big fight. And I know Bivol doesn't hit as hard as him. But like we were saying, could it hurt him to be a little bit more aggressive, go to the body? Again, no body shots, no hooks. I give him credit for his skills. And he doesn't do anything. When you think fast fighters, you think, oh, a guy that does the shoulder roll or a guy who moves the upper body a lot like Muhammad Ali or Canelo. This guy doesn't do that. It's all hands up, like Gonzalo said, in and out, fencing style, a lot of jabs, straight right hand. And it's amazing that he can win fights just on that alone. But now if he's already winning based on that, why not add more things? It's not like the other guy, okay, he opens himself maybe to a counter or whatever. Okay, that's going to happen either way. Don't you want to look impressive? Don't you want to make a statement? I don't know. It's just as a customer and a boxing fan, when you see so many guys, top guys who will go in there and get a stoppage, and then you look at this guy or guys like him and they just like to go to the motions, it's a little frustrating. But again, I know what to expect. The reason why I was so frustrated in this fight is because I knew what to expect from Bivol. He's not that guy. He's not going to go in there and step it up and start throwing hooks to the body or exchange it. You know what I mean? It's like it's a 1-2, 1-2-1, maybe a lead right hand.
And then he only has himself to blame when nobody wants to put him in a big fight. Because he's not going to draw names. When you have a big fight, right, you want big names. Unless the only time he has a big fight, it's because he's forced by sanctioning bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to fight him because who'd want to fight that fucking guy? I mean, he's going to bring a couple of cousins? Like, who the fuck's going to go? He doesn't have, you know what I mean? I'm just being honest. I'm a huge fan of his. I'm a huge fan of his footwork. His footwork is dazzling. Like Gonzalo, it's the best description. I agree, a fencer. He has that fencing, even almost that stance. He dots in and out, pop, pop. I watch fencing too. Professional fencing is sick. Let's talk about footwork. That's all footwork, that sport. It's literally the best of boxing, like footwork of boxing. It's completely almost all what it is.
1-to-1 combination, that's a really effective combination if you think about it, because you'd never want to lunge with your trail hand, right? A lot of fighters do, maybe like Navarrete, because they can take a punch. But you never want to lunge in with your power hand, with your right hand, right, if you're a righty. So you throw your jab, then you cut, so you can block the other guy's, where you block his eyes, so where he cannot see you when you throw that trail hand or whatnot. You throw that jab, you throw that cross, but then you step in hard with the jab again, that 1-2, and that 1, you're reestablishing the distance again, and basically you can reset. 1-2-1, you reset again, and you can keep doing that over and over again. And that's what he does. I mean, but it gets kind of like, all right, can I see something else, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, it's weird. Look, Jimmy, I'm surprised you said that you're a fan of his, because I respect his skills, but I'm not a fan of his. I like his character. He's not a trash, like most of these Eastern Europeans. He's not a trash talker. He just goes in there and does his business in the ring. But I'm not, when they say Bivol's fighting on the undercard, I go, okay, we're gonna get a solid lesson on footwork and hand speed, but other than that, I mean, I already know, unless they put him in there against a guy like Beterbiev or another top light heavyweight, I'll be okay. I'm interested in watching it. But if he's fighting these guys that we already know he's gonna outbox, I really couldn't care less, man.
Well, and by fan, I meant I was a fan when he first came out, and I saw the ability, the footwork. I was like, man, and my hopes were high. So I've gone from being a fan to like kind of really disappointed in him, because I wanted to be a big fan. Like I thought he was going to be one of those fighters. he was going to grow into like a triple G. I really did. I thought he was going to, it's just doesn't have it in him.
Yeah, it appears not, man. It appears that it's. I mean, he has it in him to compete at the high level. Because I mean, look, I'm looking at his resume here, amateur resume, of course, and look, professional too. It's not that bad. It's very good. But when it comes to amateur, I mean, it just lets you know that he's a born competitor. Check this out. European School Championships, gold 2005, gold at the European Cadet Championships, and gold all up until the Youth World Championships. He got a bronze medal in Guadalajara. He got a silver in the Summer Universidade. I don't know what the fuck. And then the World Combat Games, he got gold in St. Petersburg. So didn't go to the Olympics, but nevertheless, he picked up a whole bunch of amateur titles, World Championships, the whole 9 yards. So he's
a winner. Yeah, he's been winning his whole life. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe he needs a taste of fucking defeat to get a little fire in his ass. Maybe someone needs to talk about his mother. I don't understand what the fuck it is. He needs to get I want to see him a little hate. You know what I mean? A little haggler in him. Hagler fucking made himself. He didn't have to shit talk you, but by the time he got into the ring with you, he hated your guts.
Mm-hmm.
He made him hate you because that's what it took for him. And it showed when he fought. He wanted to hurt you because in his mind you wanted to kill him. That's some guys get that mindset. I got to do what I got to do, but he doesn't have that. It's almost too much like a sport with him.
Yes, that's a great point. That's a great point right there. Listen, I know there's a lot of people out there that like to talk about how the Eastern Europeans are tough. Yeah, a lot of them are tough, but there's a lot of them too that come out from the amateur system. And like you said, it's still almost like the pre-Golovkin era when a lot of these guys would stay amateur, and then once they were done with the amateurs, they would go teach in a gymnasium or something that was state-run or something. You know what I mean? It's like
it was communist, so there was no professional. They didn't allow that. So there was a lot of great Cuban fighters. Obviously, they never got a chance to fight in the pros.
That's right. Yeah, and it seems like he's stuck a little bit in that mentality. And again, I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world, but if he wants to make big paydays, if he wants to make a name for himself, he should really think about being a little bit more aggressive.
Well, if you think about it, right, BD, they're fucking all their best coaches, right? All your best trainers, your boxing trainers, usually the guys have been in the sport for years. The curtain didn't fall till '89, so this is kind of that's why this past generation of fighters are the first ones who've kind of fought a little different. Before they were all the same style, and the reason being, no matter who you were, the best trainer or whatever style you trained, you had to train your guys for 3-minute rounds. Mm-hmm. Everything was trained for the amateurs. That's why they always had that very amateur style, because that's the only boxing they were going to do. So it's taken this past generation, and now they realize. So now there's more, Russian fighters coming out, and fighting more in that, brawler style. And no matter what, you look out through history. I don't care, the best fighters are the brawlers. I know Floyd Mayweather made a lot of money getting people to want to see him get knocked out, but overall, the fighters who are remembered are the exciting ones.
That's right. Absolutely,
the ones that make you fucking jump up, and scream and get your blood going. If you're sitting watching a fight going, God damn, is it over yet? Round after round of the same fucking shit. It just gets monotonous, dude.
Hey, by the way, fellas, can you take over? Can you guys take over for 2 minutes? I get.
Sure thing. I think just me and Gonzalo now at this point.
I think it's almost like the coach. Sometimes when he ties a fighter's hand and he has them throwing, like he ties the trail hand. Let's say if you're right-hander. You tie the right hand and you have the fighter throw the jab, and you'll have him do that like for an hour, and like the style that B-Wolf fights, it's almost like the trainer taught him move in and out, throw 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1, like that, and he'll have him doing that hours on end. To where by the end of the day,
and that's actually, like you said earlier, Gonzalo, that's the best combination too. I think that's one of the most effective combinations. It's actually not an easy thing to do correctly, to jump in and do a 1-2. You know what I mean? So, like you said, if you can master that, it might not be flashy as the uppercut, dip to the side, overhand right, but just a good straight 1-2. If you can do it, you master that, you can fuck a lot of people up with that.
Especially with the movement where he displaces himself, and is there to strike, where he gets the distance, throws a jab, measures the target, steps in, lands that right hand, and is able to land another jab to create, distance
When you
again,
see
and
tonight's
use that
fight,
as
I
a
know you haven't
marker.
seen it yet. When you see it, you'll see that he even clinches a lot. Like he was clinching a lot tonight too. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Just to
that
disrupt
might
the
be,
guy.
yeah.
He was just kind of grab him, which is, it's just like he almost remind me of Crawford against Pove. Like in the last round, he thought he was so far ahead, dude. He really was just trying to take that last round off, the last couple of rounds off. It's like, all right, dude, what are you doing, man? It's just not pleasing. It's like, who is he surrounded with? You can't put in performances like that and then, sit and start calling out all the top fighters in the world because you're not giving anything for them to want to fight you. Because nobody's going to be nobody's going to be calling for Bivol Canelo.
Yeah, especially since he hardly has like ever lost a round, and I know he would be stepping up in competition versus like I don't know the
But
Canelos
why?
of the
Yeah,
world.
but
I
you're
think
right. But why would
he's peanut
Canelo
butter
want to
Ramirez
put?
maybe.
Yeah, but why would Canelo want to fight a kid that he could quite possibly lose to? Because if is there a
Exactly.
person who would give Canelo a hard time? Because remember, Canelo's waist up movement's great. His feet work isn't as good. So Bivol, I think, could outfence him coming down with that long range. He could stick him. That would be the person with the footwork to bother him. But for what? The whole fight would be on Canelo. Like, wait a minute. I have to bring in the
That's right.
crowd. I have to do everything. Plus, there's a chance I might lose. Why? What's the benefit? I know I'm talking pragmatically. I'm not trying to count anybody's money. I'm just saying you got to think of it as the fighter's mindset.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
what
it's a
is
good
it
point.
really? What is it for me to fight?
And the
Why
guy's a
risk
good
it?
boxer. Guy's a good boxer, and you can tell he's been doing it from a very, very early age. But like I mentioned, I
Muscle
think
memory.
yeah, and he's been doing this style of training, repetitive. Like you could tell that the guy shadow boxes and maybe fights this way 4 or 5 hours a day when he's training.
I'd like to see. I don't know who he's training with, or if he's changed trainers. I'd like to see him change. Get somebody in there like somebody known to fucking put a little mustard on it. Need someone, like, to be honest with you, I don't think Roy Jones Jr. was the person for fucking Eubanks to get. I'm like, really? Because Jones's personality is so strong. I'm thinking he's going to try to copy Jones. Jones is going to try to put his style in him. And did you see tonight? Like, that went the distance, didn't it? That fight was fucking boring as fuck. He would throw, even the British announcers were saying, yeah, he's got to do more than just one flashy combination. And then even when he gets the kid fucking hurt, he just didn't fucking go in and finish it.
Hey, by the way, can I just, before we get to Chris Eubank, I just want to say one last thing about Bivol, man. Bivol, he also looked tired in the later rounds. In the last one especially, he was the one doing clinching.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He was clinching in the last round. I think he was just trying to completely take the round off. I think in his mind he had enough. One, why bother, taking a shot? Because let's be honest, Richards, I don't think, maybe in the second round, caught him with a good, decent right at the end, like throw it at the end of his punch. But other than that, Richards never caught him with a clean shot. He's a hard kid to catch with a clean shot. He's got very strong forearms. He's hard to, get past that. And if you say, okay, I'm going to punch around his guard, because of his footwork, it makes it hard. Because when you punch around somebody's guard, you got to be even that much closer to him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
that's right. Because you got to wrap the arm around, right? That takes length. That takes length to wrap the arm around.
So you got to get in even closer. So he's just gonna dive back because, like you said, he has that fences. So some guys will drag a foot back. He bounces. He'll keep the shoulder. You can tell he's practiced, like you said, Gonzalo. Always keeping his fucking feet at that same exact width, and he's probably tied strings to his feet and just did a bunch of around the ring circles. Like you keep going in different direction. You do 10 one way, 10 the other, and you're constantly the guy's whipping you every time you fucking you close your feet in or something.
I saw a movie when I was a little kid that my uncle got for me because he knew that I was big into boxing. Can't remember the name of the movie, but it was about this Russian coach that trained one of these kids in Russia to become a gold medalist. And the whole movie was about the guy tying the guy's feet in the guy's arms and having him do that. And that's how the guy won the gold medal.
Huh, that's interesting, man. Yeah, I mean, look, with Bivol, somebody has to light a fire under his ass. Otherwise, this ain't gonna end well for him from a financial standpoint. Because I really doubt that he doesn't care about it. He's gotta care about it. I mean, every fighter wants to get paid the most money in there. So for him to just be going through the motions like that, he can't do it or he's unwilling to do it. Either way, he's not gonna be really be a big star. Got the decision, good for him. But what else do we want? Let's see if he fights the winner of Beeble Smith, and hopefully it's Beeble.
I mean, what was the other kid? A 10-1 underdog. This kid was a huge underdog coming in.
Yeah, he was a domestic level fighter, and that's not to say that he was bad, but he was outclassed. And you know what? There were certain points where he started working Beeville's body, and I thought, what happens if he fights somebody that's gonna stick to him like glue and work that body? It doesn't seem like Beeville's all that good at fighting on the inside. Because it's almost all straight shots. It's never hooks. It's never uppercuts.
Yeah, I don't think he has any inside game at all. I don't, because when he's ever on the inside, if you look back at his fights, when it gets to the inside, he almost always grabs. Almost Kovalev-like. Kovalev's a terrible inside fighter, too.
Yeah.
Same thing. And that's why Canelo knew. And the same thing with Billy Saunders. Billy Saunders not a great inside fighter.
At least he can wrestle a little bit.
You know what? You know, Billy Joe Saunders, people said, oh, I got no chance of winning because of the judges. I think, is that what he said? I know he said something silly along those lines. I think in his head he means he knows he can't win because he knows he can't win. He knows he doesn't have the talent. I think he knows in his heart that Canelo's going to fucking catch him. I really think the body shot. He's never been the speed Canelo fucking has. People don't realize faster hands than they realize, and he hits hard.
That's right.
And,
that's true.
And I think who's the last? Let's look at the last three dudes Billy Joe Saunders has fought. I mean, come on. I mean, hell and gone from fucking Canelo Alvarez as far as talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, like you said, I think there is body work, and I think what's going to happen is Canelo's just going to counter him to the body. Every time Billy Joe Saunders throws a jab, body shot. Every time he throws a straight left, body shot. If he tries to run,
put it this way, that would be the smart game plan. That's if you're 100% right. If I was in his corner, I would say, dude, I want to see body shots. Make that fucking kid, anytime he comes near you, anytime there's a clinch before the ref gets in there, and give him a 6-inch shot to the liver, anything on the top of his hip, just to slow him down just enough. You know what I mean? And put it this way, if at any time in that fight we see Billy Joe Saunders, cover up and get his back on the ropes, he's dead. He's done. You know the fight's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
But anytime Canelo gets him pinned.
Yeah, I think so too, man. Look, I'm still interested in seeing it because I want to see if Canelo can pull that off. Because it's one.
I want to see if Canelo can knock him out. Because I, to be honest with you, remember the "Go fuck you" or "fuck Triple G" shirts on his wall. I thought he said a lot of fucking crude things for a kid who never fought anybody. I think he just run his mouth a lot, and then it's like he's never done anything to back it up. And even when he's had the opportunity, he's stunk to. And there's always excuses. There's always some reason why he stunk the joint up. And, yeah, great. He put in a great performance against Lemieux because he was scared shit of getting hit. What does that tell you? Like, he didn't, nothing. Like, at any time did he even try to get into any kind of a fight with Lemieux? Like, even in the last few rounds, like, okay, Lemieux's tired. And you still don't want to fucking get in there and exchange with him?
Yeah, and it's kind of foolish to, when Lemieux fought him, that Lemieux, I believe he chased him around a lot. And in this fight, you want to see Billy Joe stand his ground and to where Canelo's not chasing him. Kind of like if Billy Joe decides to run around, Canelo can just wave him, come to me or something, where everybody can be on notice. I mean, as spectators, as fans. And I think the judges understand this because it's not the Mayweather era no more. That in order to qualify a fight, you have to see both fighters trying to go in there and make it into a fight, not one guy chasing the other. So if you say, Billy Joe Saunders gets on the back foot, why Canelo ain't chasing them down? That's not the way I expect to give Billy Joe Saunders credit by assuming that that's the road that Canelo has to show. No. Who says that it's supposed to be like that? Because then you go into the belief that the Mexican got the slow feet, that usually the guy that's a boxer will beat the guy like that. Now, we're going to have to see both guys coming forward. Or standing in the center of the ring, I mean.
I don't know, man. But what do you think happened if Billy Joe Saunders refuses to engage, and he makes Canelo go to him? Do you think Canelo can? I know Canelo cuts the ring off easier than he used to, or better than he used to, but he's still not the most active fighter out there when it comes to throwing shots. I think that could play into Billy Joe's hands too a little bit.
When let's say Billy Joe Saunders lands a flurry, and out of a flurry he lands 2 head snapping shots where Canelo's got to get back forcefully. Then if I'm Billy Joe Saunders, I'll get on the back foot a little bit, because now Canelo's forced to have it to get his get back, and if he can't get it, then the judges, all they can remember is that Billy Joe landed 2 shots, but I would say a little bit more than that. 2, 3, 4, 5 shots where he's making a statement in every round. Then you can coast a little bit, and then circumnavigate as you will the round where you can get on the back foot a little bit. But at a certain point, you have to play chess.
Yeah, I agree, man. But I don't. I still think it's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be an interesting fight, and if at any point you start seeing Canelo dominating, then yeah, you can assume that it's the tide's not going to turn during that fight.
It's like the saying says, PDA, it takes 2 to tango, right?
That's right.
I think if you ever see him with his back against the ropes, that's not a good sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, but one thing I will say about Billy Joe Saunders is he does fight to the levels of opposition. He when he fights some of these guys that aren't all that good, he just goes through the motions, a little bit like Bivol. But we saw what happened when he fought Lemieux. I know people say Lemieux sucks, but look, he barely lost a round in there. That's got to count for something.
Yeah, again, he boxed because it was ideally matched. Like Lemieux's going to give a champion a hard time who's a fighter because he has a puncher's chance because he's so strong. But against a boxer, that's Lemieux's kryptonite because he's a terrible boxer. And before we used to, then he would have. He also beat It's funny too because people still add that, including myself, as like that was he beat fucking Eubanks, but since then Eubanks has been exposed.
Yeah,
as a fucking really, especially then he was just a professional mitt dancer. He'd put out those professional mitt dancing videos, choreographed mitt dancing, where the trainers actually is more impressive that he remembers all the fucking hand moves. You know what I mean, dude? It's such a fucking joke. It does nothing for you as a fighter, but it looks good on Instagram. And that was always what he was most concerned with, how fast he could look, doing those choreographed dance fucking videos, dancing. So that was always including myself. Well, he's got the Eubank, big deal. Fucking Eubank to me he's a domestic level champion at best. So
everybody
his best win is
on the mids.
Yeah, exactly. And so I give it to without a doubt, his best win is Lemieux. So what does that tell you? A pure boxer beat a fucking kid whose feet, makes Danny Garcia look, good. So what does that tell you?
That's true, man.
This is fucking such a jump up in competition for him. He's never faced anyone like Canelo.
Speaking of Chris Eubank, because again, he fought today on the undercard of the Parker Chisora. He's with Roy Jones, and like you said, Jimmy, it seemed like he was trying to fight a little bit like Roy Jones in terms of setting up his shots, but he also had Morrison, I think that was his guy's name, Morrison, hurt a couple of times, and then he would back up and back off, and the commentators were saying, oh, he's pacing himself, blah, 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 or he wants to go around. I never really bought that excuse of, this guy wants to go around. So I think if a guy sees that he can stop somebody, he'll go for it. It's just... In part, I think also Morrison was landing some good right hands to the body, and that was making Eubank, because you could tell Morrison had balls. He was trading with Eubank when Eubank opened up for the most part.
Morrison could crack. You could tell he cracked a few times. I think you're 100% right. I think when he had him hurt, that's when obviously Morrison was going to load up the most. When you're hurt, you're thinking, oh shit, this is it. You could tell that's when he was going to load up, and he did load up. And I think a couple of times when he had Morrison a little goofy footed, Morris caught him with either a good body shot or a fucking good headshot. Mm-hmm. And he was like, okay, I'm going to back up a little.
But you know what? To what you said about Eubank being exposed, look, we saw him lose to the best 2 boxers he's fought, and that was Billy Joe Saunders. Even though to Eubank's credit, he came forward and actually started taking advantage of Billy Joe Saunders' bad stamina late in the fight. But against George Groves, it was just a complete. The problem with Eubank is he doesn't know how to gauge the distance. He just barges in and smothers his own work, and he falls into clinches.
Because he doesn't practice his foot. He doesn't do the choreographing with his opponent. You know, if his opponent came in and choreographed all his punches like his trainer did. Like I said, when I'd watch those fucking his mitt videos, I was more impressed with the trainer. It just seriously, it's such a joke. And I knew it. And I was like, there's a reason he lost his pen. Imagine back then, especially in 2016, what Gennady Golovkin would have done to him.
Totally.
Oh, he would have fucking destroyed him. His family knew it. He knew it. His father knew it.
I think he would still beat him. I think Golovkin would still beat the.
Oh, of course he would. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'd still put my money on Golovkin going away. I'm not impressed with him. I never have been impressed with Eubanks. And again, that's Saunders. And so isn't it almost kind of a myth with Saunders? Because really, what has he done? He beat up Lemieux after Lemieux. Listen, that fight, and make no mistake, that fucking beating Triple G put on him, I don't care that they didn't stop him. You don't have to get stopped to have a fucking beating. And his fucking head was ringing. He broke his nose. He fucked his face. I mean, listen, those jabs he was getting hit with. Remember those jabs he was getting blistered with? That takes a while on you. And then his eating habits outside the ring. So I think he was kind of a mush fighter to begin with by the time Saunders fought him. And again, it wasn't like Saunders went in and dominated him through power. He made a sloppy, very limited, talented boxer look that way.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, could be a mirage, man.
Seen him. If you remember how Julio Cesar Chavez used to kind of square up, he didn't have like a real like side profile where one shoulder's in front of the other, presenting a slight turn. No, he squared up. The thing about squaring up, you can dart to the left and you can dart to the right and cut off the ring. So we'll see if Canelo does that, where he can kind of square up. If the fighter escapes to the left or escapes to the right, all he has to do is step it to an angle to either side and close the avenues of escape while throwing a punch, right?
Right.
Step left, step that way, and hook a shot where you can catch him as he's trying to escape out that way.
Because one thing you can say about Billy Joe Saunders, at least he's got more speed and snap on his shots than Callum Smith did. Callum Smith, he took a beating in there late in the fight, especially. But he just, like, Canelo was seeing everything coming, except for a couple of jabs. For the most part, he was seeing. But Billy Joe Saunders, though, he's got like that. Listen, Billy Joe Saunders' best weapon, his ace in the hole, is that jab of his. If he can keep Canelo honest with that jab and land him throughout the fight, he's got a chance to stay there, at least to stay there.
But how does a jab keep somebody honest when it's not a powerful jab or it doesn't hurt you?
I've seen that jab, man. It is a hurtful jab, man. It is a hurt.
Against Canelo, I think Canelo will dip it from the waist. I think he'll eat through that at the waist. I think he'll fucking. Canelo's so great at that. Like you'll have him lined up with that fucking jab, and he'll snap and he'll take him. He'll probably catch him with a few good jabs in the first couple of rounds until Canelo gets his rhythm and he'll just notice there'll be little fucking subtle nuances he does right before he throws his jab. And once Canelo has that down, once he knows his rhythm, forget it. I think he's gonna fucking slip a jab, dig to his liver with a fucking left hook, and fucking Saunders. Every time he does it, a little less will come off his jab because it's just gonna be a complete throw it out there, just keep him at bay. Because again, when you want to put more on your jab, the more you put on your jab, the longer you leave it out there. It's like the more you're extending yourself. Mm-hmm. If you're just flicking it, you don't have to worry about it.
Well, listen,
as much.
Yeah, it's like a car when you hit the brakes. The faster you're going, when you hit the brakes, it's gonna be a harder stop, right? The lighter you're going, the lighter you can step off your jab if you're just throwing it out there, because you're not having to like really push back with your feet or hold your position without trying to get out of balance, right? You throw a hard jab, you can lose your balance, but you try to hold your position, throw your jab, and then throw another one. Or, if you throw it light, then decide to throw a harder one later on, like after that. It's depending how much you put on it, right?
Well, listen, we're going to find out what happens next Saturday. And we're going to talk more about that fight during the week.
He's got a decent uppercut, too, though. Billy Joe Saunders got a decent uppercut.
Listen, we'll talk about it more later on. I wanted to say something about Chris Eubank, by the way, because you mentioned uppercuts. Chris Eubank has a heck of an uppercut, man. I will say this about him. Once he gets on the inside, he's very dangerous, man. Not a lot of people want to trade with him on the inside. Beautiful melange of hooks and uppercuts. This time, though, the other guy was strong, man. He took those hooks and uppercuts. I don't think there's a lot of people there that can take him from him, but that's the problem. He's easy to tie up. He barges in, does engage the distance pretty well. And even when he's on the outside, he's got good upper body movement when he wants to show it, but he's also open to jabs because if you throw one shot at him, you can catch him with the first. Then it's hard to catch him with the second because then his brain goes into defensive mode. He realizes he's got to move. But you can set him up for that first punch, and that's how Billy Joe Saunders and Groves were able to beat him. So anybody out there that's going to fight him, they have to rely on that first punch. Because if they go for combinations, the guy's actually has pretty good head movement. But other than that, he still makes fundamental mistakes. Like I said, he takes that first shot, can't really cut the ring off, barges in, gets smothered. I think he's going to make for interesting fights. I remember one of the big fights I wanted to see that I thought would have been action packed would have been him and Lemieux over at middleweight. That would have been quite a show. Let me tell you.
And can I say too? I just want a personal note how offensive it is to me to see all these dudes who fucking ducked Canelo like child support. I mean, Triple G like child support payments. 4 or 5 years ago, wanted nothing to do with them. Now all of a sudden, I want Triple G. It's like, dude, shit the fuck. Oh, but now that he's fucking, 15 years away from Social Security payments, now you want him, tough guy? The fuck out of here. Anyway, just my fucking thing.
No, you're right, man. I mean, but listen, it's the name of the game. It's people call out fighters once they start getting older. It's the Triple G. When he was going through these middleweights, like a hot knife through butter. Whoops! Nobody wanted anything, and that's the thing, though. Remember with Golovkin, people go, "Well, he wasn't that good." Well, look, when he fought Canelo, he beat arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. You can talk about the scorecards all you want,
beat
but
him in that first fight too.
Yeah,
and everybody knows it,
and that's why Canelo hates the guy because he knows he didn't win that first fight. He's got to know. I mean, a fighter knows.
Of course he knows, and it's hot. Of course he does, dude. He knew at the end of the fight. You just watch his body language. Right at the end of the first fight, when that bell rings, G turns around, confident, grits his face. Yeah, he knows he won. Canelo was kind of half-heartedly like, yeah, he knew he lost the fight. Absolutely. Dude, nobody gave Canelo that fight except for, in anybody's opinion out of respect besides Julio Cesar Chavez. But how much am I going to do that, being a fellow fucking kid from the same, actually, area? So, you know what I mean? I didn't really put too much weight in that, but nobody, no sports writer, no commentator, nobody gave that first fight to him. So he did lose.
What type of fight for Triple G? At best,
which is still, but it was absolutely, and exactly, I think, how I scored it. I think that's how most people scored it, actually. So he lost. He knows he lost. The same way I think the same way Ward knows he lost to Kovalev in the first fight.
Even 9-3, man. Even 9-3. Seriously, that first fight.
Yeah, so exactly. I know. I hate that. Who did he never beat anybody? Like, wait, that's so disingenuous to say that, right? That's so like, okay, you're a hater and you're gonna hide behind anybody who hides behind or uses a judge. To me, it's a robbery. When it's a $10 million fight, when it's a pay-per-view, it's the super fight, and you give the guy a decision who didn't deserve it, it's a robbery. I don't give a fuck. It was by 1 round. When you take something from somebody that didn't belong to them and give it to somebody else, you know what I mean? That's a robbery. And I think that obviously soured Triple G. And but yeah, so I hate when anybody says that. To me, they're a fucking troll. They can't even be honest.
Well, my
give
point,
the kid his due.
My point is that things became clear as to why Canelo won't give Triple G a rubber match when he did an interview earlier this week on YouTube. Canelo did, and he admitted that Golovkin is going into the rematch was the first time he'd taken a fight personal. In terms of being insulted, he said that what insulted him was Golovkin's and his team's assertion that Canelo was a cheater. And he said, "No, I never cheat. It's the clenbuterol. It's in the meat. That's what happens. It's all over the place in Mexico." So he said that he was, because of those allegations, he took him personally and that's why he went to. And this is what he said. He says he went to chop off what's his name? He went to chop Canelo's head, Triple G's head off. Now, coming from a guy from Mexico, that's a little. that's a little.
I think, yeah, right. I know exactly. I think he was more offended at himself. I think he was angry because he knows he lost that fight, and he knows. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way he doesn't know he lost. Everybody knows he lost that fight, and it was a bogus decision. And that's what I hate about the sport. And I just hate that. You know, at least I'm honest. You know, I'm honest about shit like that. I would have been. All right, put it this way: going into the first, was it the first? Yeah, the Kovalev fight. I'm pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure I picked Ward to win by a wanky decision. I thought he was going to win a dissent. So I remember I was like, yeah, I think they're going to give it to Kovalev. I think Ward will win by some fucking weird decision. It'll be close. But at the end of the fight, though, I was honest. I could have hid behind that. Oh, fuck you, man. I was right. You know, I could have hid behind a bad judge's thing. But at the end of the day, I had to live with myself. Like, okay, dude, you're hiding. Or you're propping up a fucking bad judge's decision. It's cowardly. Like, so right away, I was like, wow, fucking, I remember my tweet. I said, I picked, Ward to win tonight, and man, was I wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to celebrate it like the other people who were celebrating it. You know, we all know who those were, the haters and the fucking, they're all celebrating it. Oh, I told you. What do you mean I told you? He fucking lost that fight. But, yeah, if you can't be honest with yourself in this shit, then what good is it?
Well, look, listen, that's the other thing. Fighters, when they spar, too, they know. They have off nights. Even the best have off sparring sessions where they walk out of there going, fuck, I want another shot at this guy. And it's the same thing during a fight. Like, these guys know throughout the fight, he got the best of me. And the same thing with Canelo. And that's why he won't give him a rematch, because not only did Triple G beat him that first time, and then Canelo changed everything up in the second, and it was still incredibly close. But now Canelo knows he's got the world at his feet because he's the biggest boxing star. And he can just essentially tell Golovkin to fuck off. Now, with Golovkin, Golovkin, by the way, he's not free of criticism either, because he should also accept that, look, Canelo's on whatever boat he's on. He doesn't want to fight you third time. You got to fight somebody else. But now you guys, I think it was you, Jimmy, who's saying that, or somebody else was saying that Triple G just doesn't care about boxing anymore. He just wants money.
I don't think I just think he wants the money and get the fuck out. He has a bad taste. He misses the big drama show, the days about all the belts. And when he got fucked, that took his dreams away from him, dude. He wanted all the belts. He wanted to unify, and he got fucked. He really did. They fucked him. They robbed him of his world's, his dreams. And honestly, though, you know what? I think Canelo don't want that third fight. I don't think enough, because nobody ever talks about. Everybody says, "Well, Lara did this or Trout did that," but nobody ever mentions, because it's really never happened, Canelo being rocked. And make no mistake about it. I just watched it again the other day. That 10th round. At the end of that 10th round, G rocked him. If there was 10 more seconds in that round, you would have seen Canelo on his knees. You would have had him. I'm telling you, he would have put him down. He was that rocked.
Well, there were,
and I think
10 seconds. There were more than 10 seconds. I mean, if I remember correctly, I think Canelo recuperated pretty well.
No, dude, it was right. It was 11 seconds, I think, when he hit caught that shot, and they kind of tied up a second. Canelo jumped on, and right when he turned, he walked, because it happened not far from his corner. He turned, and that's when the first thing Ranallo says to him, "You all right?" And he's like, yeah. Man, yeah, they knew he was rocked. He stumbled, like you saw his legs buckle a little. And for him to do that, you know how you have to hit him to do that, because that fucking kid, it's got that redhead. I don't want to say the bad word, but at least that strength.
I get what you're saying.
He's got a gallon neck. Yeah, he's got a gallon neck. Yeah, so it's so hard to hurt. So I think for him, as shocked as I was, he was rocked. Imagine him. He's probably like, in his mind, man, because they're humans sitting there going, holy fuck, that dude just rocked me. Like, literally rocked me. Like, because I've been rocked. Everybody's been rocked. Is rocked. And to get rocked like that, where like the flash of white, and then you in your mind, you know what you want to do, but it's like your body's on drag. Like you're saying, okay, how come my arm isn't throwing that punch? Throw the punch. Your body's just not reacting because you're fucking goofy. And it's a bad, ugly, lonely.
Yeah, man, it's true. You cut off. I don't know if you were done, Jimmy.
And Canelo rolls good with the shots, but when he hit him with that shot to like the temple, I think in the two fights, he hit him right around that area on the side of the head. It's harder to roll away a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, that's
even
a
if
good
you
point.
turn your neck, it's way back there.
That's
you can't take too much off of it.
Yeah, that's why Canelo doesn't want to fight him a third time. And look, if Triple G, it's a shame that Triple G, if that's true that he doesn't want to fight any top guys anymore, it's a shame because I still think he's got enough juice left to pull off a couple of good wins. But if he's going to be fighting some of these scrubs that we already know he's going to beat on paper, by the way, hold on, I think Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy's calling.
He must have dropped off. But yeah, Triple G, look, if he's not fighting any top opposition, I don't want to see him pancaking a bunch of scrubs, man. I'm not interested in that. All right, we got Jimmy back.
Well, he's got money now. Before he was chasing these guys, but he was also chasing a better way of life, a better have the money. Now he's got money. He lives comfortable now. So I think kind of like Pacquiao, when you get all that money, you're better off. You're just gonna take a little bit of the fire that you used to have. So I don't know, like an older Triple G, how he would do nowadays. I know he got a belt, but I don't see a whole hell of a lot of people calling him out either, even now. But before, when they were refusing to fight him, yeah, GGG was on the warpath trying to establish that the most defenses. But now that he's rich and these guys are still not calling him out, he's not gonna be the one pursuing these guys because he already got the money. He's laying back, living his life with his children and his family.
That's a good point. Yeah, Triple G. I mean, hey, listen, he might as well retire then, because if he's gonna make money and fighting scrubs, I mean, well, I'm not that interested in that. By the way, you got Stu dropping by. Stu, you there?
What's happening, boys? Thought I'd drop in and say hello. Sorry, I can't.
What's up, brother?
Again. It's terrible timings. You keep putting these shows on when I'm partying, man. You've got no consideration for me at all, have you guys? No,
well, you're partying all the time, man. What's the matter with you? It's like
I know. I'm just making it for the lockdown, bro. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking.
Right.
Sorry, yeah, but look, yeah, I watched the Chisora fight. That's the one I've caught. I'm gonna have to catch up on the ones tomorrow when I'm a bit straighter. But yeah, I watched that one.
Were you doing some? Were you inhaling stuff while you were watching the fights, or?
Yeah, I watched the Chisora Parker fight. Parker was what he always is, a guy that just never leaves it on the line, lackluster. It was a half decent performance from him, but he could have gone in for the kill. He had Chisora there for the take, and yet kept backing off. Chisora's how many times is Eddie Hearn going to sell us a dead horse? I mean, the guy comes. The guy comes to fight. Yes, he does, but there's a lot of fights that come to fight. Does that mean they're pay-per-view? No. I mean, look, come on. I mean, the guy's got 10 defeats now. What is it? 9, 10 defeats? I mean, come on, man. I mean, every big fight he's in, he gets beat. But yet again, give it 3 months' time, Eddie Hearn's going to be recycling him and putting him on a fucking headliner to get bashed up again. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I've had enough. No more Chisora, please. I mean, Chisora should be on the undercard of fucking Ritson in Newcastle. It shouldn't be fucking pay-per-view. Get out of here, man.
So wait, so who do you want to see Parker up against? Because he's the winner, right? Like, who do you even want to see him fight? Because most guys in the chat, including Jimmy and I think Bucho too, they weren't all that impressed with him.
Well, look, Parker's never gonna set the world alight. Let's just say that. You know what you get from Parker. He's going to fall short. He's a heavyweight Danny Garcia, and he gives you 50-60%, goes to the motion, collects the taker.
That's a good comparison, yeah. But I mean, look, did you agree with the decision, though? Because some people in the chat were calling robbery. They were saying Chisora should have gotten the win.
Oh, I mean, robbery is a word that's been used far too often in boxing for me. I mean, you get a fight that's probably 1 round in it, and that's a robbery these days. I mean, my idea of a robbery is Wilder Fury 1, not fucking this one. I mean, look, if anything, Parker looked the better fighter in there. Let's be real. Parker looked like the guy he could have stopped Chisora.
Hello, Stu, you there?
And Chisora's another one, just head down, swing for the fucking hills, you know what I mean, and hope one lands. And when they do land, nothing happens.
Didn't it look like a sparring session to you, bro? Didn't it look just like almost a sloppy sparring session with Parker fights?
Well, mate, yeah, I mean, look, I mean, my days of paying for Derek Chisora fights are long gone. I'll stop paying for his fights when he fucking fought David Hay. Do you know what I mean? After that one, that was it. I mean, look, He comes to fight and he puts on a show. He's an undercard guy. He's a co-main event. You can stick him underneath the main event, but he's not a headliner. I mean, and any of you fucking morons that paid for that, then you've obviously got more money than sense.
I can't believe that fight was pay-per-view over there in the UK. I mean, I understand that Luis Arreola thing here because of like that we've been talking about before. The PBC's had the money, but over there, Sky Sports or whatever, why are they putting that on pay-per-view? It's insane.
That's why I said they treat the UK fans like shit.
Yeah,
disrespectful as far as I'm concerned.
They're getting what they're getting. They're going to get their comeuppance, Sky. I'll tell you why. Because Eddie Hearn is going to jump ship and go to design anytime soon. I'm hearing there's no signed contract, new contract signed. I'm hearing Adam Smith is furious with Eddie Hearn. And the thing is, I'm glad Sky have took the piss out of us long enough. They charge us an absolute fortune, and let's be real, for the Premier League. I'm paying like £100 a month for the Premier League, basically.
Are you serious?
My Sky bill, just for Sky's got to be 100, and I've got extra channels, but then you've got the BT on there as well. That's like an extra, because I'll get the internet with that as well. So that's an extra 30 odd quid. So but Sky. So what am I paying for? So I pay for Sky, and I get Premier League football, and I get what? I get Chisora. No, actually, I don't get Chisora. I've got to pay for the privilege of watching Derek Chisora, the guy with 9 defeats. I don't even get an up and coming name like. Well, I suppose Conor Benn, but come on, man, Conor Benn's only just started looking half decent. He was dreadful a couple of years ago. So we're not getting any. We should be getting world champions on Saturday Night Boxing like we used to get. Throw, even if you lose money on it, throw a bit in for us. Look at the money you're making. Look at the shit you've served us. And that fucking Joseph Fritzl looking motherfucker, Adam Smith. Right? That guy's got no business in boxing. That guy's got no fucking business in boxing. And he just looks like one of them guys that he'd empty your life savings, wouldn't he? If he had a chance, he would. He'd ring your nan up and Connor into fucking handing over a pension to him. He's that sort of guy, isn't he?
Hey man, it's been years since you made that Joseph Fritzl reference. I'm putting up his picture there on the screen. That's one scary looking motherfucker, man. It's like if you don't see that face and think, hey, that's a sexual assaulter right there, then I don't know what to tell you, man. You need to get your affairs in order.
The funny thing is, Sky actually pay more money on their commentary team than they do on the fights. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, it really is. I mean, as we all, Katie Taylor's always there to save the day for Eddie, isn't she? She's just on every fucking card there is. And Katie Taylor must fight about 10 times a year. I'm sure she does. Every
is he
card.
Fucking her?
Mate, I don't know. I doubt that. I mean,
I think isn't she a lesbian? Yeah. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah.
But it's just that fuck. You're right. He has her on everything.
She's not exactly one for the wank bank, is she? Let's just say that she's not exactly one for the wank bank.
You're not rubbing any out to Katie.
But I'm just sick of these UK cards. I mean, they're almost as bad as the PBC cards. I mean, but I wouldn't go that far yet, but it's not far off. And this is why I decided to.
Yeah, Stu's dropping off again.
It's so funny to listen to Stu, man. It's like we always echo the same thing. It's like when I called and you said, "What'd you?" I said, "Well, tonight's card made me appreciate that I'm a hockey fan."
Hey, by the way, speaking of Joseph Fritzl, while you guys were talking, I just decided to really refresh my memory about it, what exactly he did. Did this? Am I getting this correctly here from Wikipedia? Did this guy imprison somebody and actually raise a family off of his rape victims from the mid 80s up until 2008?
Well, yeah, he built a dungeon underneath his house and had his fucking daughters underneath there, imprisoned, didn't he? Breeding them up with kids and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Jeez, Louise.
Yeah, the guy's a proper weirdo. The guy's a proper fucking weirdo.
Who's
the only reason he got caught is because one of the babies had difficulties and he had to take them into the hospital. And that's when alarm bells were ringing. I think she said something, and that's what caught him.
Who are you guys talking about?
Joseph Fritzl.
Who the fuck is that?
Oh man, this is quite a story, man. It's a guy that kidnapped a woman, a girl, locked her up in his basement.
No, it was his own daughter, BDA.
Oh, it was his own daughter. Okay, well, that makes it. I
But
don't know if that makes it better or
like
worse.
somebody famous was who was he? Just a criminal.
Well, he's famous here at BDA because of his exploits, but no, he was just a regular dude who imprisoned one of his daughters in the. He had like a dungeon basement, and he would fuck his daughter and have kids with them, and just keep them locked up in the
And this
basement.
was in the UK.
No, this was in the Netherlands.
No, it was in Austria.
Oh,
It was in
Austria.
Austria.
I thought it was the Netherlands. Huh.
No, it's Austria.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. But anyway, listen. Enough of Stu's heroes. Let's get back to boxing. Stu, I wanted to ask you, man, because we were talking about Chris Eubank too. You know, how did you think he looked in there? You think would you like to see him up there matched up against a favorable style so that we can get some action? Because I mean, today he didn't look all that great.
I think he's lost his hunger for the sport, mate. I mean,
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I think he's fighting for money now. When a fighter fights for money, the spark goes. I mean, I'm not saying he had a spark anyway, but there was a little bit of a bit of flame, shall we say? But it's gone, mate. I mean, the guy's more worried about showing off his new McLaren on fucking YouTube than he is fighting in a boxing ring. So look, Eubank's always going to fall short against the top fighters because he lacks footwork, he lacks cutting off the ring skills, and he lacks the basic fundamentals. He's just like he's a technical brawler, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think you need a little bit more than that when you're fighting the best guy. I mean, look, Billy Joe Saunders looked like fucking Willie Pep, Sugar Ray Robinson rolled into one that night, didn't he? I mean, he's all right when you've got a Turkish bum like fucking Yildirim strolling forward with his chin in the air. He's going to knock them out all day long, but yeah. He's just going to fall. But I'd like to see him fight Charlo, I would. I think he'd give Charlo a good fight. I don't pick him to win it, but I think it's a good fight. He's going to come and throw punches. I just think probably lost the stomach for the game, mate. He's made a lot of money, and let's be real, he's made a lot of money, really, and unjustified, really. I mean, when you see some of these fighters that have had good wins and are fighting often, have made nowhere near the money Eubank's made, and he's made real good money for the fights he's been in. Really, he's fought about 28 cans, isn't he? Come on, man.
Would it be fair to say that he's the British Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.?
No, I think he's got a bit more stomach than Chavez. Yeah. I mean, Chavez is. I mean, he should have called himself. His boxing name should have been called the Wizard of Oz because he's got no brain, no heart, no courage. So it would have been perfect for him. But look, Chavez, his own dad, rips him. How shit he is. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know.
The difference between Chavez and Eubanks, I think, my personal opinion is, I think Chavez was almost like, I'm his son, so I'll just do this and I'll be good at it. Whereas Eubank almost wants to please his father, like wanted to be good. I don't know if I'm reading that wrong. Like that's maybe the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing is, I think the difference is, I think Eubank Senior can look at his son in the eye and say, well, he's give it his all. If he's not good enough, he's not good enough. He's give it his all, and that's all you can ask from a fighter. But when Chavez goes in there, the guy's not even in shape. The guy's not. He barely makes weight. He barely makes weight, and let's be real, he just doesn't throw punches. I mean, he just blocks punches with his face as well. I mean, it's amazing when he fought Martinez. He could have got Martinez out. Martinez was there for the taking, yet he let Martinez box his head off for 12 rounds and then decided he wanted to throw punches. Too late. He could have,
yeah, because Martinez had those porn star knees. They were gone. They were used up, and he was able to, like you said, to box around.
He had them Forrest Gump braces on, didn't he? That's what I mean.
Yeah, man. But hey, speaking of disappointments, I was talking with the guys last evening about Ryan Garcia, because he pulled out of the Fortuna fight, Stu, and he was citing mental issues because and the whole boxing world, for the most part, grouped in and sent him well wishes. Well, it turns out there's a TikTok video of him with a woman in some sort of Mexican resort next to the beach. So now people are saying, well, wait a minute, he's bad enough, he's doing bad to the point where he has to cancel the fight, but he right away he goes into a trip instead of waiting around and getting his bearings. Like, do you call bullshit on his story, or what do you think is going on?
Sounds like one of them confused little guys that doesn't know what sexuality is, and he's fighting it. And so one day he'll spend a weekend with a girl, and the next it'll be a geezer. I should think with him. He's probably I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of Brian Garcia. Like I said, this is the thing. It's like being popular on social media, but when you're popular on social media, there's a lot of abuse that follows it, and if you can't take it, it can destroy athletes. I mean, seeing a lot of it lately, and it's probably some of the stuff that's going on the internet that's getting to, but you just don't know. I mean, let's be real, boxing is a very stressful sport. I mean, there's nothing, can you imagine knowing you in there with, say, a world-class puncher, and you've got 3 months to go to bed every night thinking about this guy sticking one on your fucking chin, and it's mentally draining, and obviously the gym, the cutting weight and all that. Mate, there's no surprise these boxers become depressed, and yeah, I mean, look, it could be that. I don't know the ins and outs of Ryan Garcia, but that'd be my guess.
Am I the only one surprised that Stu's actually being sympathetic towards Ryan Garcia?
No, I think I was. I thought I'm not surprised by that. I think he would see, I think the optics were bad. The way he took those pictures, he shouldn't have done that there. But I think Stu understands. Like, is he lying? Who knows? I mean, but why? I don't see the purpose behind, unless just want to get out of the Fortuna fight. But why would you debase yourself? There's a lot of other things he could have done. Fell down the stairs. Fucking, you know what I mean? There's so many things, but you know what I mean? Right? Let's just be honest. You get out of a fight, there's a fucking hell of a lot of things he could have done.
Yeah, I mean,
well, his dad. I'm sorry, his father Henry Garcia. I was watching some of his videos last night because he came out with these reflex bags. He makes them and he ships them around the world. The Cobra bag. So I was looking at those, and they asked him. He had like a questions and answers, like So they asked him, "Where's Ryan? Where's Ryan at?" And he said, "Ryan's he's taking a break because he's not 100%." But he also said something that was very interesting. Ryan's having a good time right now. That's what he said. They caught him off guard. He's having a good time. He's enjoying himself. So what does that tell you?
The thing about boxing is, believe it or not, getting in the ring and throwing your hands and taking shots is the easy part sometimes. There's a lot of demons from within when you're fighting, and that's why Wilder has lost his head, because he's fighting demons he can't control at the moment. He's in a position he's never been in, doesn't know how to deal with adversity, obviously, and mate, it can ruin a career. Just one bad defeat, and let's be real, when you're the laughing stock on the internet, it doesn't help.
And now he's painting himself in the corner. Now he can never lose. If he loses again, imagine the hell he'll catch.
All the great fighters are the ones that don't let the outside world affect them. When you look at Canelo, when you look at Floyd, you look at a lot of the best fighters out there. Do you know what I mean? A lot of them, the best ones, you just don't see that sort of weakness in them mentally. And
Then he got them goofy ass tattoos all clumped up on his body work. I mean, you might say, "Oh, Gonzalo, why are you paying attention to that?" Well, that's what one thing he had going for him. He was a clean cut kid, poster boy. That if you have a child and you want for your child to follow in the footsteps of a guy like Ryan Garcia, man, he messed himself up. That's the only reason I'm saying that, and it's true.
Yeah, I think it's true.
I just think one more. This is my last comment. I'm gonna have to go. He's calling me in. The thing I think it's a problem with a lot of American fighters. I mean, they're just divas, and let's be real, a lot of them cowards, gutless cowards. They're quite happy to fight cans, get decent money for the rest of it, instead of challenging themselves against the best. And I find that with a lot of American fighters, they're quite happy to take these shit fights, get paid well for it, and then when a good challenge comes around, they overprice themselves. So the fight can't be made. I mean, it's not me picking on Americans. There's a lot of fighters like that, but I just find it with a lot of the American diva fighters. I'll call them the American divas these days, because they get everything put on a plate for them, and they're still claiming that the world's against them. I mean, it's just a joke. I mean, they need to start fighting fighters. And Ryan Garcia, Tank, all of them, a lot of them, Haney, all these young American fighters need to start fucking stepping up to the plate.
I agree, man. We need to see more guys taking the big fights. less fighters just going through the motions, asking for millions of dollars for shit fights. By the way, Stu, you said you have to go. Are you really?
I'm off, boys.
Do you really have to
Yeah,
go, or
sorry?
are you gonna go watch that Luis Ariola fight? Is that what's going on here?
Oh well, yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, look. I mean, if it's a choice between a girl with frilly knickers calling me to the bed or watching Ariola versus I can't remember who the other one is. I mean, which
Luis,
woman are you
yeah.
going to pick? Now, look, I ain't watching that fight. I don't give a flying shit what happens in that fight because Ariola was dreadful a decade ago. So what's he going to be like now?
That's true. Yeah. Well, he's with Joe Guzin now, so you know he might he might be getting a little bit better, a little bit. Improving his defense with the experience and all that. But yeah, physically he's no longer there. I think he gets knocked. Look, if Luis doesn't knock him out, I don't know what to tell you. By the way, listen, Stu, thank you for joining us, man. We'll catch you in the next one. Hey, by the way, the other thing I wanted to mention too, Valdez. We were talking about not Valdez, Verdejo, Felix Verdejo. We were talking about the. I think Stu. Can you guys hear me? By the way.
Yeah,
yes,
sorry
I can
about
hear
that.
you, brother.
I'm gonna get off anyway. I was just saying about Andy Ruiz. He should be ashamed of himself taking that fight. I mean, look, it's time to move on, and he's fought Joshua. He's been the world heavyweight champion of the world. What is he? What's he getting from fighting that fucking? Well, I like Ariel as a person, as a fighter, hideous, and that's where we are. I'm off anyway, boys. I'll speak to you tomorrow, Joe.
Take it easy, Stu.
All right, Stu. Take care.
Yeah, I was going to mention that the Verdejo thing. Now he's denying that he talked to the woman that disappeared. That apparently is the mother of his unborn child. Do you guys think he's lying? Do you think maybe she? Because again, Puerto Rico is not exactly, depending on where you are, it ain't the safest place in the world. Maybe somebody got to her on the way back or on the way.
Well, I mean, the last known thing she was doing, her family and friends said, was waiting to him to come over to see the X-rays. The first, ultrasound of their, baby, and he's married. And next thing you know, nobody's heard from her for almost a week, and it don't look good.
No, you're right, man. Yeah, it's like you said yesterday. It's if you were to bet what happened, all the highlights are there of a situation going wrong, some sort of a amorous situation gone wrong.
I'm telling you right now, and if it is that way, dude, Erin Moriarty, 48 hours, Dateline will do, because she was pretty, blonde, he was a fucking handsome boxer, oh yeah, and his family will blame concussion syndrome. That's what made him do it, try to go after the sport.
That's what you mentioned last evening, and beforehand I had mentioned that I think Verdejo had been in a motorcycle accident too. So they're probably gonna say, "Oh, my frontal lobe's all fucked up."
Oh yeah, of course they're gonna do that, dude. Part of the concussion syndrome is bouts of violence, and they're gonna try to blame that to. Obviously, might say, I don't think they have the death penalty in Puerto Rico. Pretty sure they don't, but they still got long sentences. He'd probably try to do whatever he could to get chipped away, but it's gonna be hard, man. Because you murder a fucking mother who's got a baby inside her, a young girl like that, man, I got no sympathy for you. I think they should throw him under the jail if he did do it.
Well, that's a little harsh.
Well, you just described what happened to Edwin Valera, motorcycle accident, killed his wife.
Oh, yeah, that too. Although they say that there were some shenanigans going on there too, that maybe he didn't pay. I heard a rumor, I forget where I heard it, but that they were trying to extort him and he said no. So they said, all right, we're going to kill you, your family, but just as a last insult, we're gonna pin it on you. I think I don't know. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a rumor I heard. I don't know if there's any evidence for that, but Venezuela, not exactly a bastion of decency.
Well, there's been quite a few fucking ex-world champions convicted of murder.
That's true. Yeah, Carlos Monzon, Baldomir supposedly fucking his family members or something. I mean, yeah, it's. Hey, by the way, Jimmy, didn't they say O.J. Simpson too? At some point, that was one of the theories that he'd had CTE and that's why he became violent. And
yeah, of course they were trying to question. Yeah, anybody with any head injury or head contact, especially the people pushing it. Here in Boston, they were trying to stop NHL. They were trying to prevent fighting. They were trying to change the rules where there'd be no more fighting in the NHL, and they realized I'd go over like a lead balloon.
Well, yeah,
Like
I
a
mean, of
fan.
course.
It's such an integral part of hockey.
Exactly. It's like baseball. Watching baseball without drinking beer. I mean, it's you get bored after a while, man. Real quick. Fight Scout in the chat room says, "Yeah, I heard that rumor about Valero. Where did you hear that rumor, Fight Scout? Because I remember, I don't know if it was in a video or if it was a message board, but I remember reading that theory. But again, it's who knows where it came from. Yeah. So yeah, Jimmy, was OJ crazy? Yes. Was he crazy? Did he have the reputation of being a psycho beforehand, or did he just...
No, not at all. No, not at all. Very, very well, soft spoken for a big guy. He knew. He was. They had commercials all the time. The OJ Simpson. The airport jumping over fucking for Hertz rental car. No, he was. Then he was doing the movies. No, none of that. He had a reputation as a womanizer, but it was never like a. I guess they had some dust-ups in the marriage, but nothing like that was known. Like he wasn't a known violent person. But some guys, man, when they can't handle somebody banging their wives or their wives fucking somebody else. They become so jealous they just can't deal with it.
Gonzalo, did you say he was doing crack?
Yeah, he was doing crack also.
Whoa.
So that might have added to his instability.
Oh, he was? I didn't know that, Gonzalo. If he was, then absolutely. That can be, if you take if they do a CAT scan on somebody who's suffering like crazy schizophrenia and do a CAT scan of someone who's been smoking crack hard or meth, it's the same part of the brain is clouded. You almost can't tell the difference. So you do have schizophrenic responses. People on crack they've killed babies. They've shot at people out of windows thinking they were cops. They can make you do some fucked up shit. So if he was doing crack, that doesn't help.
Yeah, I knew a guy who did PCP, he said. PCP, and he was in his apartment, and he said he got lost in his apartment. That's how fucked up that shit made him. He couldn't navigate around his...
I've seen people get real ugly on that too. Thank God even as a kid, man, that's the one drug I never fuck with. And embalming fluid, that's all I needed to hear. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm not smoking embalming fluid. Fuck out of here.
I knew a guy that did acid, but he had like the acid tabs. He had a whole sheet, and he put them in his inside of his waistband to run away from the cops.
Through his skin.
Penetrated the stomach. Yeah, and then he thought he was a glass of orange juice. So he would tell you, "Don't get close to me because you're gonna tip me over. You're gonna tip me over."
Dude, I told you guys about that, man. Oh, man. Fuck that shit. I hate it. I don't like any hallucinogenics. I don't like anything I can't control.
Now we're getting to the nitty gritty of it, Jimmy. You're a control freak.
I told you I was I was at that wedding up in Maine. We stayed at that castle like fucking hotel with the tin roofs, and it was raining. And I was on acid. The raindrops sounded like the fucking bombs going off. I was just horrible. It wouldn't end. It wouldn't end. It was just the worst. PCP. I've seen people do fucking. It's always 90% of the time they ended up naked. They get so hot on it. They rip all their fucking clothes off. No, dude, all the time. Punch up the fucking, you don't believe me, go to fucking Google. Just put naked PCP. It's such a common thing because it raises your body core temperature.
Jimmy, I already got that naked PCP. I already got that in my bookmarks a long time ago, man. But anyway, go ahead.
No, but it does. It raises your core temperature to such a degree. That's why, cops ever roll up on someone in the street naked, they almost automatically go to its PCP. Especially back in the day when it was, more prevalent in all communities. Now it's pretty much it's big amongst the African American community.
I was gonna say I looked up naked PCP and I see mostly black people. What's this?
Since the 90s it's become black people. They call it they sell them on the streets for fucking they just dip cigarettes in embalming fluid. That's all it is. Gracious. It's fucking gross.
What have you done? Like you mentioned acid, obviously, of course.
I've done you name it, I've done it except for PCP. I've never done PCP.
But what's the difference between crystal meth? Is that different from crystal meth?
Crystal meth is like a poor man's cocaine. That's all it is. It's just you cook down. It's all chemicals. You could go to put it this way. If you could go and buy boxes of a Sudafed off the counter. Especially back in the 90s when it was still legal to do that. You used to see bikers especially walking to CVS at 3 in the morning and they'd buy every fucking box of Sudafed they had and just walk up and drop it on the counter. You knew what they were doing. They were cooking that shit. But it's all the chemicals. You go to Home Depot and buy all the chemicals you need. And you just cook it through. And when it gets towards the end, that fume is very, very it's ignitable. It's very flammable, and it stinks too. It stinks to high heaven. I've seen people cook it, but it's a cheap man's. It goes longer. Like if you have good crank, good fresh crystal, and you do a fucking gagger of that, you could zing for 8 hours if it's good pink crank. But if it's been stepped all over, yeah, it's nasty. That's the difference. Where cocaine, it's a faster high, it's cleaner, it's a lot more expensive. But yeah, that's pretty much the main difference. But still the same thing. It's an amphetamine, both. It's a speed.
How about caffeine? You ever hit that or?
Oh yeah, man, that's kind of lame.
Well,
no, but black. But there's also pills when I was younger that aren't even around anymore. Black Beauties, Yellow Jackets, Quaaludes, mushrooms. Oh no, mushrooms wrong, but THC. They used to be the little tablets in like Purple Double Barrel. These all these weird names, but pills were a lot more prevalent in the 80s. Yeah, roofie. Yeah, exactly. The Quaaludes, the lemons, 9-12s. It was like you take one of those, dude. Seriously, it was like hitting yourself in the head with a fucking hammer for 14 hours. Just boom, zombie, useless drug. I never understood the pleasure for it. But
you said you've done everything except
yes.
So H,
you've done H.
How about
that,
H?
Brother?
H. Have you done?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Holy
Brother,
shit!
Oh yeah.
Damn,
every
Jimmy.
possible way too, brother.
Whoa!
Smoked it, brewed it,
so
everything.
What's the difference between smoking it and injecting?
After my motorcycle accident, dude, I got fucking addicted to oxys. I said that before, man, real bad. And then one day I couldn't get them, and somebody come over to the house with dope, and I was like, "Give it me." And so I battled that shit for like 3 months. Thank God I never, but so I've done it. So there's put it this way. Guys, I've seen guys dope sick, brother, right? Like dope sick. They haven't had their shit, their works in fucking 18 hours. Their nose is running, they're cramping, and they can have the heroin in their pocket, meaning they could sniff it, or they could even throw it on a piece of tinfoil and chase the dragon, where you light the bottom of the tinfoil. It gets the heroin smoking, and you can smoke it because it just hits your lungs, and it's quicker than snorting it. But they'll still wait until they get home to use the needle. Because there is a saying, dude, once you take the elevator, you never use the stairs again. And that's
some people are just in love with the ritual too, Jimmy, of preparing the syringe, getting it ready.
Yep.
The ritual.
No, dude, you're doing Gonzalo. You're 100% correct. It is. It's true. They get addicted to everything. They get addicted for waiting for the dealer, stringing them along for 45 minutes, yelling and bitching. The minute the dealer shows up, they're kissing their ass, give them all their ones and quarters, and before the guy's even out of the house, they're breaking out their fucking caps and cutting off cigarette filters to use to draw out, hoping they don't get cotton fever, because that's the danger. Because if you strain through cotton or you strain through a cigarette filter, and one of those fibers you shoot into your lungs, the minute it hits your heart, you get what's called cotton fever, where you go up to 105, 106 degree temperature. You feel like you're gonna die. It's horrible. Yeah.
Hey man, I'm on the same boat as you fellas when it comes to that, because I'm addicted. When I go to Goldman's tea store here down the street, I buy all the teas, man. Every day I gotta go there. Then I like Giselle said, I come here, I do my little ritual with the Melville tea. Man, I'm addicted to that shit, man. I need some help. But Jimmy, Savat Kim is asking in the chat room, out of all the ones you did, which one was the best?
Heroin.
Now, how do you define best, though? That's an interesting.
I'm sorry. The one that when they say it's the closest to feel like an orgasm, it's the God's honest. Like they always say, "Oh my God, it's better than sex." Heroin, by far is the best drug. That's why it's the most deadly.
By the way, are you in public? Are you? Yeah.
I'll tell you something real quick, dude. How disgusting heroin is. When in a newspaper, right? Say a newspaper comes out, and down in say Fall River, Massachusetts, they said Blue Devil heroin. 5 people were found. Providence police said 5 bodies were found in an apartment, and they were doing Blue Devil. The police will say they found these packets all Blue Devil. Dude, they say the traffic and the next day, people from, you could see plates from New Hampshire, New York, all over. You know what they're there for? To buy the Blue Devil. That's the mindset of heroin addicts. This shit's so strong, it's killing people, and people fucking show up to buy it. Now, imagine that, dude. So I've also seen, back when I went to get some of the Ivan, but we were looking actually for Dickie. And this is before I ever did anything like that, but like did drugs. But we showed up to a place and the kid had OD, dude. The needle was still in his arm, but he only had finished half his shit. When we were trying to get that kid revived, the girl walked over, took the needle out of his arm and just put it in her arm.
Jeez.
And finished. I was like, so like that told me right there, I'm like, imagine the hold this shit has on him. Right, that movie Trainspotting's no joke. Like, they did that movie so, like, if anybody wants to know what, like, a true junkie's life is, like, how they get, when that girl left her baby to die, for, like, they would go into these fucking crazy nods for days on end, don't feed the baby died, that's just not unheard of. You know?
And you know, Jimmy, most of the people that die of heroin, it's because they get clean, then they go back to using it. And the first time they do it again, they die.
So what happens? They go through. Well, that's called the speed. It's called the spin drive. People go into detox 2 or 3 days, try to clean their system out. And it's true. If they have any sobriety, and when you get clean, you can be clean for 7 years. When you go back to using, you go right back to fucking the same amount. And guys do it all. Yeah, exactly. They OD. And I'll tell you right now, if you believed in state-sanctioned death, like putting someone to death. The most peaceful is heroin, man. I'll tell you right now, all you do is just stop breathing and you die. You just turn blue and you die. There's no violent kicking. It's actually sadistic to say, but it's 100% true. I'm not even lying. That's how they die on heroin. You just stop breathing. Because it's a muscle relaxer, basically.
Well, listen, that's we're getting some good tips for the people out there. Jimmy,
yeah, just so you know, you were asking, and I'm telling you right now, it's it's the best, but it's also the worst. They always say it's a love-hate relationship, and I never went down the rabbit hole like some dudes. So I mean, I was fortunate; I was able to end it almost as fast as I. So I would avoid anybody from ever doing it. But I wanted to be honest when you said what's the best, and without a doubt, as far as highs go, that's the king daddy.
Well, no, listen, that's why we love you, man.
I tried it like 1 or 2 times. I know how it feels. I even did a higher and a down at the same time.
So you did a speedball.
I never got into it. Yeah, I never got into it. But I heard that the people that do it, the people that do it, it's not even a high. You're just getting high to get well.
Oh yeah, no,
you're not sick anymore. So it's
dude, I only used it for 90 days, and that only lasted 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, I was just chasing this. You start doing it just not to feel sick. That's the sick part about it. You're not even getting high anymore. Now you're doing it just so you're not shitting your pants and you're coughing up phlegm and you got a fever and you're shaking. You have anxiety attacks, but you can't sleep and you're exhausted. It's horrible. That's why people will do crazy things when they're addicted to heroin. They get their heroin.
Man,
like
anxiety,
crazy things they would never do.
Anxiety, shitting your pants. I don't even do heroin, and I get that shit all the time. So I mean,
it's sad. No, going through withdrawals and that is fucking no joke, and that's why people do really sick things. But yeah, no. So you did it, Gonzalo. So you admit, right, dude? Is that out of all the drugs the strongest, or like would you say the best?
Well, yeah. Well, no. I was like 16, and one of my buddies, he grabbed my arm, he stuck it in, put like 25, I think, I don't remember, like 25 little lines, like CCs. What do you call that?
And he did a speedball. He shot you up with coke and heroin.
I did that on my own later on. I did that about 10 years
I was gonna say that's kind of a sick ass friend you got there. Was trying to kill you.
Yeah. With friends like that.
Asshole, huh?
Yeah, with friends like those who needs but man, listen, we got to do a second renaissance on this type of subject. By the way, second renaissance also, remember, Jimmy, we were talking about how, Gonzalo, here's what we're going to do, because you weren't there when we mentioned this. Since sometimes...
Yeah, I'm listening, but I'm in the hospital, so a lot of times I don't get on.
Okay, but what I wanted to say was with second renaissance, since we sometimes, we're not all on the same page when it comes to knowledge, we all get different levels of knowledge. I was thinking, let's watch documentaries that are in the Creative Commons, meaning we can watch them, they're not copywritten or anything, and we can just watch that. So when we were talking about OJ, I know Bucho had planned a OJ episode, So for that one, actually, I think most people know the facts. But if not, then we can watch a little documentary on it and then talk about the shit show that was the OJ trial.
Well, the one you wanted to do, the paranormal one,
Yes.
right? That's a real good one too, because actually, when we do that, like I was saying, I don't know if you sent, I saw, I sent it in the Discord, but my girl's gonna join us on that because she's real up on that, dude. She'll be able to really, help. She's already said she's absolutely gonna call in with me. So when we do that one,
Fantastic.
Oh, that's cool.
So we should. Okay,
yeah,
so
she's gonna call in.
I'm gonna let everybody know next episode, Second Rances, beforehand, like 2 days beforehand.
Good.
I'm gonna tell them.
Yeah,
Listen,
cool.
this is gonna,
'Cause, yeah, she's excited for it. She really knows her stuff there, so she'll make it interesting.
yeah, because I wanna let people know
Yeah.
2 days beforehand about what exactly we're gonna talk about. Because otherwise, people come in and they start thinking we're gonna talk about something else. You know what I mean? It's like I want everybody to be on the same page.
Yeah, no, paranormal, like you said, because that's something I can already tell. You've brought it up enough. I know you're very interested in it, and I feel bad because every time you try to talk about it, it's been skirted to culture crimes or something else, and you can tell you're like BDA's like, I just want to talk about this one fucking thing once, guys.
Well, it's
so
because
I really
it's
want to let's do that show for sure.
It's my fault because I don't
The
tell people
interesting
before.
part about the I was gonna say about the OJ thing real quick, BD,
Mm-hmm.
how he was able to get to the two guys. I know one's a woman, but to be able to get to the two humans without the guy getting defensive wounds, where the man, if he's killing Nicole first, he didn't do something to show that he defended himself. It's like the guy knew karate. So how was he able to cleanly kill the two guys, the man and the woman, without showing that the guy even tried to defend himself ever?
Well, if you do the size of the blade, bro, it was a butcher knife, so it was at least 8 inches, right? A knife that long, if you hit somebody from behind on either side of the spine, you're gonna pop a lung, and you're not gonna be able to yell, and that's gonna take your lungs right off.
That's insane, man.
Just
It really is. That's the way they
You can't be
teach you in the
nervous. You
military.
just got. Yeah, he's got to be like a cold-blooded assassin to do that, because that takes guts, man. That takes guts to go up and slice somebody's neck. To keep it cool.
Dude, brutal. The blood,
Go get the other
spray.
person.
Oh. You don't realize how slippery that is, too, right? It's so disgusting when there's so much blood. If you're gonna start carving people up with a blade like that, there's gonna be so much arterial spray, so much blood on the ground. You're gonna be falling all over the place. You're not gonna be able to hold the knife.
But isn't that much blood sticky? Or
dude, not only is it, well, in the beginning it's very slippery, and it's wicked slippery.
When
and
it's
the
warm,
thing is
right?
too,
Yeah.
right? What sucks, and you know what's weird? You can smell it when there's that much blood in a room, dude.
yeah.
It smells like iron. So
So
now you've
now
been there in
the
the bloody
death is-
scene. It's weird.
Yeah, of course. I used to transfer bodies in my
Very-
belly.
It's like a bunch of pennies. Like there's 1,000 pennies in the room. You can smell the iron in the air. It's weird.
wait, how do you know there's like, have you been in a situation where there's that much blood, Jimmy? Or
If somebody's bled out, if there's like a good amount of blood in a scene, and if it's fresh, it's before it's fully coagulated.
and Gonzalo, what'd you say? You were moving bodies?
Yeah.
You mean in the war? Is that what you're referring?
Yeah. My vehicle was the casualty collection vehicle.
Oh,
It's
jeez,
true.
yeah, that's must have been quite a hoot doing
I was
that.
a gunner for the platoon sergeant.
Right.
Well, I told you before, man, when I was just a teenager, a little high, man, that Cambodian kid, Southeast Asian kid came up from California, and he was just across the canal from me, and while I was waiting for my girlfriend, smoking a cigarette, my buddy Louie, and kid walked up about 6 feet away and just fucking squeezed off around into the dude's head. And obviously we ran over and you could smell the blood. It was just everywhere.
Jeez.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Didn't you see a cloud of blood? You said when he.
Yeah, it was a mist. It was a gray mist. It was a reddish gray mist. It's like it was so fucked up, dude. Like I wasn't expecting. Like you just stand there, I was just looking at him. I mean, and then I was. What's that? Go to the car. Okay. Get the keys. Sorry, but guys. Thank you, hon. So yeah, no, it was. So I'm just smoking, standing there watching it cross the canal. It's like those railings you lean on. It was right at the high school, on the high school grounds. And I saw 2 Cambodian Southeast Asian kids walking towards 3 South Asian kids just standing there. And so, I could see it all coming. I didn't think nothing of it. And then sure enough, as he got to about 8 feet to the 3 of them, he just raised up a pistol and pow! squeezed off around into the kid's head, and it was the way the kid fell. It was so strange, like his whole body just like, it's just so weird. It was just so unnatural the way his body just, it's like you could tell his lights were just shut right off. Like his body just, boom, like somebody turned the power off on him, the way he fell. And then right where his head was, there was a light breeze. There was this mist in the air. And it was just this red, pinkish with like smoke in it. It was fucking so disturbing, dude. I had nightmares for so long because I was looking at the kid right in the face. I was looking right at him when that fucking piece of shit squeezed the trigger. And it was over some really bullshit, too. I guess over some... And the kid drove all the way from California to do that. Drove across the country, coast to coast, to go shoot this kid in the head in broad daylight.
Only in America. Jeez,
Crazy.
That's
crazy, man. This just makes you think that sometimes you gotta watch out what you say and what you do.
That's true.
I guess it was over a girlfriend. I guess he got a girl pregnant, and she didn't marry her, and that's huge in that culture, you know what I mean? Still, because this was the first wave when they first came here in the 80s. So these sisters, when they just started coming like a few years early, so we were still getting used to them, you know? And they were decent people. They never fuck with us or anything. It was just, obviously they tribed up because they couldn't speak English. They were just starting to learn how to speak English, and he walked up and just executed that fucking kid. I couldn't believe it. I never seen anything like that in my life. So that was the first time I ever saw anybody fucking murdered like that. It was.
Did he get caught, Jimmy?
Fuck yeah, dude. They caught him before they got on the Lowell connector. They had him there. It was in the middle of the day. They ran into this fucking car. I didn't go even look at what car. I just ran over to the kid. I mean, I knew he was going to be dead, but just and his eyes were half open, kind of like right eye was like almost shut, and his left eye was kind of just slid open. And he could and then his swelling started happening. His face literally started swelling as I was looking at him. And all I kept thinking, I was 18. I was thinking of his family. I'm like, this kid's mom's going to we're going to call his family, man. It's just horrible.
Hey, Jimmy, you didn't snitch. You didn't talk to the police, did you? You didn't snitch?
Oh, fuck no, dude. God, no. I bolted before the cops showed up. Fuck that. I ain't time getting involved with that shit.
Because you know how we feel about snitches on this show. We're from the streets.
Well, no, I didn't want to get caught up in it, dude. They could have had me down at the police station till fucking midnight that night. You know what I mean? It's not like they treat witnesses with fucking kid gloves. I've seen that bullshit before. I ain't playing that game. There was enough people there, dude. Plus, I even think that whole area in the school was under video camera surveillance. This kid came on a mission to kill this kid. I don't even think he'd cared if he got caught, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he must have.
It was fucked up.
Some people that die, you can tell in the reflection of the eyes, because that's the window to the soul. You can see the tear frozen in time when they die. Yeah. Some people, you can see that.
At least, you know what, though? This kid, because he caught it right behind, it was right behind his right of his ear. It went in, and it came out the side of his neck. It was weird. It didn't even come across and blow out the other side of his head. You could see the exit wound. It was probably 9mm. I don't know what gun he used. But, he didn't see it coming. So it wasn't even like he heard the bang. The kid was close enough, so it wasn't like he heard the bang, started to turn, and then took the shot. It was like, pop! The minute the kid squeezed it, he just went out. Like I said, like somebody flicking a light switch. The kid's body, his life just ended that quick.
You know
it hit his brainstem, so he was done.
John in the chat, John Gonzalez in the chat says BDA would have snitched on the guy if he would have double parked. Listen, not only would have I snitched, I would have actually had the balls to do a citizen's arrest on the guy. I would have tackled him, disarmed him, incapacitated him, waited for the police to show up, and they go, "What took you guys so long?" That's what I would have done. But then again, that's just me.
Ever see that movie? Employee of the Month? The fucking the geeky. You ever see that one? They worked at like a big box store, but it was just funny because the guy who's the nerdy boss, he was doing a crime with his Mexican friend. If we get in trouble, I will roll on you. He tells him right to his fucking face. I will not hesitate.
Well, you gotta appreciate the honesty, man. What was I gonna say? All right, listen, fellas, we're gonna end this one here today. Probably do one tomorrow. If not a boxing show, then fuck. Is it too soon to do the paranormal show tomorrow? Or if I tell you guys in the morning, or I send you all a message, is that enough?
If you give me just give me earlier in the morning for sure. But she's all looking forward to it. She knows all that shit, dude. So she's really looking forward to it. But she hasn't talked to many people about it. So
fantastic. I'm looking forward to it as well, man. because that's what Second Renaissance is all about, man. It's we gotta delve back into the into its origins. So, fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it, man. Jimmy, Gonzalo.
I just want to say real quick too. You know what drug I would say I put almost right up there? GHB, real GHB, gamma hydroxybutanol. Some people call it the date rape drug. That shit's awesome. For just whatever you're doing, you can still have sex. The worst about heroin, you don't want to have sex. But GHB is the great because you can fight on it, fuck on it. That's a good drug. But anyways, that shit went from selling over the counter in 1996. Literally walk into fucking any GNC type store alive, and they would have cut mix. But if you went to a real like Flex Appeal was a store, a bodybuilding store, you could buy the pure GHB in the refrigerator. They sell it by the gram. Imagine within 3 years it went from free over the counter, not illegal, to a Class A, same as heroin. That's how dangerous that shit was. I had gallons of it, dude. My friends all threw it out. Yeah, dude, they threw it out on me. But once they, dude, I bought gallons of it, dude. When I heard it was going to outlaw it. Yeah, dude, when I heard they were going to outlaw it, man, my fucking buddy went down to Florida and he bought 3 gallons of pure GHB. Put it this way, dude, that shit was so strong, hand to God, I spilt a little in my Lexus. I had that wood grain, it's like a plastic, but it's just wood grain. The shit ate a hole through it. And I'm like, wow, I put this shit in my mouth. I put this stuff in my body. Oof.
That's insane, man.
Ugly stuff. All right, gentlemen, you guys all have a great evening.
You too, fellas. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Jimmy, Gonzalo, Bucho was here as well. Stu for a little while as well. So, fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the fights. Gonzalo, I think, what's his name? Abel Ramos and the other dude.
Yeah, I'm watching that right now. Jesus Ramos.
Who's winning?
He's getting pieced up too.
Who?
That's pretty even. It's like round 7. Well, I'm not fully paying attention because I'm conversating here with you guys.
Hey, Ramos is the guy. He was
a few licks.
Ramos was on the show, right? Or who was on?
Yeah, Ramos is this guy's uncle. He was on the show. He's fighting Figueroa in the co-main.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
that's gonna be a good fight.
All right, fantastic. All right, I'm gonna keep watching this one. So shout out to you guys.
This is his nephew. Yeah. Okay. Later, Beauty.
Hey, take it easy, guys. By the way, I hope everything's going well, man. I hope I know we continue to promote the GoFundMe.
He caught a blood infection. That's the thing that I'm concerned. The infection went into the bloodstream. Man, it goes from one thing to the other, man. It keeps going. It's like a nightmare.
He's no longer intubated, though, right?
Yes, he's still intubated, and
well,
he caught the infection where it went into the bloodstream now, but the fever went away, so it's not that bad. It's not like a full-blown sepsis where it's drowning out the bloodstream. Like, he's on antibiotics, so hopefully that infection in the blood goes away. Okay. But anyways, now still here, continuing fighting the fight.
All right, man.
Baby, but
hang in there, man. Hang in there. We're all praying for you, man. And for Mateo. Take it easy, Gonzalo. And thanks to everybody for joining us. Shout out to That Game, Dino Perxio, Triple JJJ, Straight G Turo, John Gonzalez. Hope you're feeling good as well, because I know he had he was fighting the 8s a couple of days ago. Braden Laferty, Jedi Gremlin, and many more people. Other people gotta go, guys. But thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Catch you on the next one. Enjoy the fights, if indeed you are so inclined to watch the fights. Take it easy, fellas. Thank you for watching.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.